The college football day began in Tallahassee with game day. Now we close it out with nighttime in the desert. ESPN College Football Primetime presented by Hampton Hotels. 6th-ranked Stanford at Arizona for one more road test this weekend. I'm Carter Blackburn with former All-Pac-10 quarterback Brock Huard. Shelley Smith joins us on the sidelines in a moment. You could sum up the preseason hype around Andrew Luck and Stanford as maybe even more positive than, I don't know, Justin Bieber. So the question, Brock Huard, is, with all of the aplomb for Andrew Luck, how do you stop the nation's most highly regarded quarterback?
It doesn't matter who you are at quarterback, and Andrew Luck is the most NFL-ready college quarterback since Peyton Manning. You want to get to a quarterback, you hit him early and often. And yes, the Duke Blue Devils did so a week ago. In fact, there were 12 passes in a stretch in the first half where Duke hit Andrew 6 times, and these were good shots, right bearing down his sternum. And you know what it led to? Yes, believe it or not, a pick-6 interception. If Arizona has any chance tonight, they have got to get that white uniform of Andrew Luck's very dirty.
Well, when Arizona has the football, they have the quarterback with the best numbers so far in 2011 in Nick Foles. The problem for the Wildcats has been running the football.
And Nick Foles will throw it all over the yard today. They will spread it out. You've got a lot of weapons for Arizona. The key will be to run the ball. Why? Because Stanford loves to get after the quarterback, and Mike Stoops said we cannot afford a blitz fest tonight. You run the ball, you slow down that rush.
Arizona has fewer rushing yards than it has penalty yards. The question for the Wildcats, will they have their go-to wide receiver, Jaron Kreiner? When we come back, Shelley Smith will have an update on Jaron Kreiner's status as the Arizona Wildcats take the field. Nick Foles told us yesterday, our backs are to the wall. We have to protect our house tonight against Andrew Luck in 6th-ranked Stanford. Road test weekend comes to an end in Tucson.
ESPN's College Football Primetime. Brought to you by Kingsford Charcoal. Go to grilling.com and tell us where you're tailgating this weekend for a chance to win a grilling package worth $500.
Well, since the college football day began in Tallahassee, I think we can say it's a dadgum beautiful night for football here in Tucson, Arizona. Question for the Wildcats, will they have Jaron Kreiner? Shelley Smith?
Jaron Kreiner underwent an appendectomy just 12 days ago, but he will start tonight. I spoke to Kreiner during pregame warmups. He said he felt good. He's in no pain whatsoever. Mike Stoops said they don't expect him to go the distance because of what he's been through, but because they need to start fast against Stanford, they need him in there quickly, and they'll go from there.
So quickly back on the field for Arizona tonight, Jaron Kreiner in the passing game, but as we documented, the run game, the big question mark. David Shaw, his first year as head coach of the Stanford Cardinal. His team now has the longest winning streak in the Football Bowl subdivision because of Auburn's loss at Clemson today.
Been around a lot of coaches before a game. I don't think I've ever been around a coach as calm as David Shaw was today.
Mike Stoops, in his 8th year as the head coach of the Arizona Wildcats, knows that his team needs to recapture some momentum. And they have number 6 Stanford at home in Tucson tonight, with the momentum there to be grabbed. Andrew Luck and the Stanford Cardinal will get the football first. One more game to go. College football Saturday. We close it out with Arizona versus Stanford. Chris Owusu from the goal line for Stanford. Net near the 20. So the Stanford Cardinal offense on the field first. Let's take a look at our Chick-fil-A impact plays.
And it starts with the Heisman candidate, Andrew Luck. The winningest quarterback in Stanford history has really used this extra year on the farm to refine and sharpen his fundamentals. Outside, Chris Owusu is the big play guy, the most explosive and fastest player. He's got to play every snap with great intensity tonight. And watch Justin Washington, converted defensive tackle, 280 pounds. They put him on the edge tonight to try to contain that power run game and get some push on the pocket.
Andrew Luck under center from the 20s. Devon Taylor is the tailback for Stanford. Luck to throw on first down. Lofting long and incomplete. 0 for 1 for Andrew Luck.
You will not see a team in college football utilize their tight ends more than Stanford. They have 3 guys, all very diverse in their skill set. That was Toilolo, who happens to just be 6'8" and 265 pounds.
And so here you see the power I formation for Stanford with the exact same personnel they had on first down. Luck hands off to Taylor. Short gain on second down, so 3rd and 6 early for Stanford.
And those tight ends can create such a mismatch for the defense and the personnel. And talking to Arizona's linebackers yesterday, they said that's the hardest part. Because typically, when a coach puts 2 tight ends and 2 backs in the game, it's heavy. It's run formation. Not so with Stanford. Arizona's going to have to be clued in, and not just the personnel, but their keys tonight more than anything.
Luck, the junior quarterback out of Houston, Texas, Stratford High School. On 3rd and 6. Luck looking over the middle. It's caught by Toilolo for a Stanford first down to the 45 as Luck and the Cardinal convert. A 21-yard pickup to move the chains.
That's all go on 3rd down, and that shifting got Arizona out of sorts. And I mentioned Toilolo earlier. That's a power forward who happens to play basketball, can stretch the field, and it puts so much pressure on your safeties and linebackers in matchups when they've got to cover tight ends that can really run.
High backfield again on 1st and 10 behind Luck. Offensive coordinator Pep Hamilton says we are a power run team. So Taylor on first down picks up a few before Arizona rallies to the football, led by C.J. Parrish.
When you hear power run, you will see it all night tonight. Not only will you see more tight ends than anybody plays in college football, you'll see more of that power. Oh, Mike Stoops, that's his brand of football. Line up and hit me in the mouth, and I'm going to hit you back. Watch in particular David DeCastro, the All-American right guard, number 52, a redshirt freshman left guard, David Yankee. Those guys get out in front all night long on that power run game.
2 backs on 2nd and 7. Owusu lined up to the right. Handing off to Taylor again. A few more yards to bring up 3rd and short. And Brock, when you think about college football and great quarterbacks, most now in 2011, it's 4 or 5 wide receivers. It's throwing the football around the field. That's not the offense that Andrew Luck plays in and succeeds in.
And that's why Andrew Luck will be the most ready NFL quarterback college football seen since Peyton Manning. Mel Kiper has him the highest graded prospect since John Elway. That is esteemed company to be within. And you watch Andrew Luck maneuver this offense around, distribute the ball. You'll see why tonight he's on everybody's short Heisman list.
Flag on 3rd and 2 as Luck rolls, throws, and incomplete, intended for Whalen. Again, flag down on the play. And regarding all of that preseason hype around Andrew Luck, all the magazine covers and all of the discussion about the Heisman Trophy, #1 draft pick.
Illegal formation on the offense, 5 men in the backfield. That penalty will be declined. 4th down.
Andrew says, I don't have cable TV, I don't tweet, but I'm not in a cave either. All that matters is playing good football. But on the opening drive for the Cardinal, it's going to be a punt.
And all that matters is moving those chains and finding 3rd downs. And Stanford's not what they were a year ago. 3 new linemen up front. Outside of Owusu, they've got to develop weapons at receiver. Whalen's got to come down with that play on 3rd down. And Andrew knows that. To be what they were last year, have got to be much more efficient.
David Green hits it high. David Douglas lets it bounce. Touchback. Arizona football at the 20 after the 47-yard punt. Call it 27 net. Our Chick-fil-A impact players when Arizona has the football.
Pretty good triggerman on the other side. Nick Foles has really changed his body this offseason, gotten quicker. He's playing faster. He leads college football in yards passed. Outside, he welcomes back Jaron Kreiner, battling that appendectomy. Nick Foles really trusts Duran. Even if he's covered, you will see him still put it up to him in one-on-one situations. And Shane Scove, maybe not a more electric middle linebacker in college football, sideline to sideline, and in particular, watch him blitz and play off the edge in rush situations as well.
1st and 10, heavy pressure coming. Foles finds Keola Antolin out of the backfield. Minimal gain on 1st down.
We talk about establishing a run game. That will be part of it for Arizona. They want to get Antolin out. Those little swing passes are like toss sweeps. Arizona's not the most nimble offensive line. 2 redshirt freshman tackles, and Foles is 6'6", and those guys tower over him at 6'8". So trying to get some semblance of a run game going, using a little creativity.
Loss a week ago at Oklahoma State. Only 41 rushing yards in the game at Oklahoma State. Mike Stoops says clearly the most frustrating thing about that loss. Blitz comes again. Foles complete over the middle. It's Geno Crump near the 1st down. It'll be 3rd and very short after a 12-yard pickup. Foles to Crump. Howell makes a stop.
Quicker release. You can see Nick Foles. He's leaner. If you watched him last year, he dislocated a kneecap when he played Stanford on the road. When the Wildcats were 7-1, nowhere near the guy you see tonight. Stanford coaches pregame talked about that. Last year, he was heavier, he was beat up, he was injured. You will watch Nick Foles play much quicker and even elusive tonight than the big 6'6" quarterback.
Changed his diet after reading Drew Brees' book, fellow Austin Westlake High School quarterback. Foles on 3rd and 2. Play action. Pocket breaks down. Foles is dropped for a sack on 3rd down and 2. Trent Murphy leads the way for the Stanford defense. A disastrous play for Arizona on 3rd and 2.
And no matter how nimble you are, when there's unblocked defenders coming right at you, and that is Stanford's game. This is an NFL-style team, both offensively and defensively for the Cardinal. Got lots of NFL coaches. They will be very innovative in their blitz package on 3rd down.
Well, what did we tell you? 2 of the nation's best quarterbacks, 2 high-powered offenses. Punt, and now with 3 and out for Arizona. Dugancic punting away to Drew Terrell, who has to back all the way to the 28. Terrell across the 35 to the 40. So the Stanford offense that punted its first time out, Andrew Luck will try and get points on the board for the Cardinal when we come back. You're going to close the college football day out. Tucson, Arizona is a pretty good place to do it, huh?
Not bad, my friend.
Stanford's won 4 of the last 5 trips to Tucson, but not the last trip in 2009. Nick Foles' first start as the Arizona quarterback led Arizona to the victory over the Stanford Cardinals. And coached by Jim Harbaugh, now of the 49ers. Nick Foles, how highly regarded is he? David Shaw, Stanford's head coach, said he is the most underrated quarterback in college football. That may be the most prominent quarterback in college football. I don't think there's much doubt about that. Andrew Luck and the Stanford offense on the field for the 2nd time. Punt the 1st time. Back to the ground game on 1st down as we check in with Reese Davis.
Carter, Florida State's E.J. Manuel will be knocked out of the game in this Taco Bell studio update. So Clint Trickett was in for Florida State against Oklahoma. And on 3rd and 28, the redshirt freshman finds Rashard Green. Double the 28 he needed, 56 yards to tie the game at 13. But boy, did Oklahoma answer. 8 plays, 83 yards. Landry Jones to Kenny Stills, who beats Greg Reed for the touchdown. We're on ABC. Inside 7 minutes to go. Number 1's up by a touch.
Dare I say that Oklahoma is getting a road test in Tallahassee. Seminoles up to the challenge. Luck to pass on 2nd down. Now Luck goes scrambling, completing on 2nd down. Move the chains as Griff Whalen, the senior from Ohio, makes the grab.
One of the great matchups to watch tonight is a very young Stanford offensive line replacing 3 redshirt seniors from a year ago. They've not protected Andrew Luck really well this season, but in 4-man rush situations, which Arizona employed right there, how much space, how much time do you give Andrew Luck? Because if he has time to get in rhythm, he will carve up the Wildcats this evening.
1st and 10 from the Arizona 43. Luck handing off again to Stephon Taylor, the junior from Mansfield, Texas, finds no running room as Paul Vassallo, senior weak side linebacker. Some Odd paths for the Arizona linebacking core, including Vassallo, who walked on at Nevada in Sierra Community College and on to Arizona.
And taking on, as I said, an inexperienced group. If you've not seen Stanford this season, they're not firing on all cylinders as they did a year ago, largely because it's a work in progress up front with so much inexperience.
Wilkerson in at running back on 2nd and 9. Following the fullback Hewitt, who seals the edge. Wilkerson gets a stiff arm to make it 3rd and short. Flag is down. Shaquille Richardson, the corner, came up and laid a lick, but it may have come when Wilkerson was out of bounds.
It did come when Wilkerson was clearly out of bounds.
After the play was over, personal foul, late hit out of bounds, number 41 on the defense. 15-yard penalty, automatic first down.
So the first 2 games of the year, Arizona has more penalty yards against them than the Wildcats have rushing yards.
You know what that's reflective of? What Mike Stoops talked about yesterday. He has been preaching aggression with his team. They sat back way too tentative against Oklahoma State to begin the game, but he said when you push those guys to be aggressive and pull the trigger, well, at times they can make dumb plays, and unfortunately for him, Arizona pulls the trigger, and Vassallo and Richardson got to show more poise in that moment. Even though you want to be aggressive, you've still got to be a smart player. You can't afford to give Stanford 15 yards.
From just outside the 20, 3 tight ends, and they all motion out to the right side, creating mismatches for the Cardinal. Luck throwing on first down. Fleener has it inside the 5 for a Stanford first down. Derek Earls makes the stop. 20-yard pickup. Kobe Fleener, 2 touchdown grabs a week ago versus Duke.
And that is a 6'6", 265-pound tight end running a skinny post and taking a vicious shot to the head. There goes Fleener, who's wobbling off the field. And what an advantage when you have tight ends with different skill sets.
Verizon in the red zone numbers terrific for Stanford this season.
David Shaw comes from the NFL, as does Pep Hamilton. The NFL, they feature matchups, getting the formation and personnel to get my best guy on your weaker link. And Fleener is so terrific down the field, but off the field right now.
First and goal goes to Taylor. Taylor running behind the right guard. David DeCastro picks up maybe 1. 2nd and goal.
And look at that play sheet, and you're going to see Andrew Luck with a wristband. He's signaling in the goal line package here. Actually, the center, Schwartzstein, as well. He wears, and there you go. And he's calling it off of his center's wristband. That's because that verbiage is so long. Don't have time to waste. Signaling in. Red, right, tight, close, C left, sprint left, GU corner, halfback flat. Maybe.
I just false started. Owusu top of the screen on 2nd and goal. Luck to Owusu. Incomplete with Trevin Wade in coverage. 3rd and goal coming.
That's the only goal line play I remember from the West Coast system back in the day. That will be critical for Stanford to find one-on-one options. I talked to you about the inexperienced offensive line. Well, last year, Ryan Whalen and Doug Baldwin, who's now a Seattle Seahawk. Andrew Luck had a lot of weapons outside. This group is still very much finding themselves offensively.
3rd and goal for Andrew Luck in Stanford. 8th play of the drive. Timeout. Prior to 3rd and goal, Luck and the Cardinal to the sideline with a timeout. And Andrew Luck at Stanford punch it in when we come back. In Tucson, Arizona, Arizona Stadium is loud and ready for 3rd and goal for Andrew Luck and the Stanford Cardinal. Luck rolling, throwing. It is intercepted at the goal line by Trevin Wade. The senior gets his 12th career interception, the most in major college football. Andrew Luck throws the interception at the goal line on the 2nd Stanford drive. It was 3rd and goal. That takes points off the board.
And I don't think I have ever seen Andrew Luck make that decision before. Clearly in coverage. Does Wade get both hands underneath the football? If so, that'd be his 12th pick. I see the ball on the ground. This will more than likely be reviewed.
So does Arizona hurry to the line now and try and snap this? Now the line
The prior
judge.
play is under further review. The ruling on the field was an interception by the defense.
Again, ruling on the field, interception by the defense. Now, you hear the phrase over and over again, indisputable video evidence. The rule, Article 1 of the rule book says, the replay official must be convinced beyond all doubt, which means that replay official has to see something that was clearly wrong in that call and then reverse it. So if there's any doubt in the replay official's mind, rule book says call on the field stands. What do you think? Does that rise to the level of any doubt?
That's going to be pretty close. That ball is completely on the ground now. He does pull it in tight to his body. What a tremendous job of pulling the trigger by Trevin Wade, of seeing and anticipating the route. Luck threw that down and away. That's not a horrible throw. It's almost a better defensive play by Wade to go and dig that one out.
This would be just the third takeaway of the year for an Arizona defense that sorely needs them. But whether this is an incompletion or an interception, walk us through that throw by Andrew Luck, why he makes that throw, and what happened there.
He clearly sees space, and he knows he has a one-on-one there, and more than likely it's like a pitcher that throws that ball down and away, where my guy gets it or nobody can get it. But credit Trevin Wade. If he gets that pick, he leads all of college football amongst active players with 12 receptions. From my perspective, when you see a defensive back, however, hip to hip with that wideout, I don't even think you try to waste a pitch down and away. I think you sail that one out of bounds and live to play another day. As I said, that is a decision that you don't see much from Andrew Luck, putting his team in that kind of position to now the referee ultimately making the declaration here of whether or not that ball was on the ground.
And you know the conversation on that Stanford sideline. Everyone around Stanford football, David Shaw, Jim Harbaugh last year, Pep Hamilton says Andrew takes it deeply personally when he messes up, and that is clearly a screw-up by Andrew Luck.
You know what's reflective of that? Do you see any coaches talking to him? Do you see David Shaw? Do you see Pep Hamilton on the phone with him? Clearly not. They know exactly. They trust that guy with everything. 12 wins a season ago, second in the Heisman Trophy voting. For Mike Stoops, this is a really big call, and that was a huge goal line stand. This crowd is raucous. They are ready to go. This is an enormous game for the Wildcats in the stretch of season. And we'll see here with the call.
After review, it was determined that the defense did not have full control of the ball. Therefore, it's an incomplete pass. Fourth down on the 2-yard line.
What do you think?
I think that's the right call. I think that ball is clearly on the ground. Trevin does a really nice job of getting underneath it and digging it out. But his hands were not underneath that ball when it hit the ground.
So that means 4th and goal. That means Jordan Williamson, the redshirt freshman kicker from Austin's Westwood High School, on to get the point.
Still a win. Last year in this matchup, Stanford in the red zone, 5 trips, 5 touchdowns, holding the Cardinal to a field goal. That can still be a win here defensively for Arizona.
Incompletion rather than an interception, and now Williamson for what should be chip shot field goal. Zeros. Yeah. You think that's intentional?
Absolutely. You're trying to get a better angle, and can Mike Stoops decline that call? But yes, with a freshman kicker, that is a real tight angle from that hash.
Delay a game on the offense. That penalty is declined.
Now, just as you said, Mike Stoops says, all right, if you want to back it up 5 yards, then I want you to kick from the 20.
That's also maybe you get Arizona to flinch. I don't mind that play by David Shaw. Maybe one of those Arizona defenders trying to be over-aggressive, gets into the neutral zone. Chip shot field goal.
Good hold by Zaglinski. 20-yard field goal is good. 3 on the board. Stanford can't get in the end zone, but on the scoreboard with 3. Andrew Luck catches a break. The interception is wiped off. 3-0 Stanford. It was not an interception thrown by Andrew Luck, just an incompletion. Stanford on the board, 3-0 over Arizona. Speaking of field goal, celebrating its 7th year, sponsoring the Good Hands Field Goal Nets. Allstate makes contributions to participating universities, general scholarship funds, For each field goal and extra point kick, to date, Allstate has contributed more than $2.4 million in scholarship monies.
People think Andrew Luck comes back to school and you recreate what you had a year ago. That just does not happen. Not with 3 redshirt seniors up front gone, not with your top 2 wideouts. Stanford still has some questions in a lot of positions offensively, and even though they have Superman at quarterback, they still have a ways to go to get anywhere near where they were last season.
Derek Wooten from the 5 for Arizona. Slips as he gets to the 20. And Arizona will have it from the 20. Allstate has donated more than $2.4 million to participating universities' general scholarship funds since 2005 for the Allstate Good Hands Field Goal Net program. Well, 3-0 on the board, Stanford over Arizona because of the field goal, and yet count that as a win for Mike Stoops in Arizona?
First and goal at the 3-yard line against a Stanford team that scores nothing but touchdowns over the last 28 games. Yeah, that's a win for Mike Stoops.
So Nick Foles in the Arizona offense on the field for just the second time. It was a 3-and-out. They've run all of 3 plays. Antolin running on first down for a 5-yard gain, and count that as a win for Arizona because of their inability to run the football for the first 2 games.
And when you're 115th in the FBS in running, you better start getting creative. We saw it on the swing pass earlier. You're seeing some motion there. They faked the fly sweep. They're not going to be able just to line up and run it at Stanford. Expect a lot of creativity with their formations and shifts as well.
Jaron Kreiner on the field for Arizona at the top of your screen. The All-America caliber wide receiver for the Cats. 2nd and 5. Antolin again. This time it's a loss, making it 3rd down. 6th-ranked Stanford now has the nation's longest winning streak because of Auburn's loss earlier today at Clemson. A Stanford Cardinal and Andrew Luck, only a field goal on the board. Andrew Luck is only 3 for 7 for 52 yards. It is a road test indeed for the Stanford Cardinal to close out the college football day here in Arizona against Nick Foles, the 5th-year senior QB, who's put up terrific numbers thus far in 2011. His Arizona Wildcats facing 3rd and 7. Heavy pressure coming. Foles throwing complete. Short of a first down as David Douglas stretches. But he is short. 4th down coming.
This Stanford starting group defensively has not given up a touchdown all year, and 8 touchdowns in their last 8 games. What will jump out to you, and Mike Stoops can appreciate, is how physical the Cardinal are. They do exactly that. They want to get this game to 3rd down, be creative in their blitzes, and then tackle you well in space. Mike Stoops has a lot of respect for what Stanford has built. It's a physical, it's aggressive team, exactly what he wants his Wildcats to be tonight.
Arizona goes 3-and-out on the first 2 drives for the Cats, and the first quarter has been critical for Arizona's success past few years. Terrell, fair catch, near the 26. ESPN's Monday Night Football brings you Sam versus Eli. 2 teams desperately trying to avoid 0-2 to start. 8:30 Eastern Monday night on ESPN, beginning 7 p.m. NFL Countdown served by Applebee's.
12% of teams in the history of the NFL who start 0-2 get themselves to the playoffs. So, yeah, I would say...
So you're saying it's a must-win
for
the Rams and the Giants. Brock Hewitt says it's a must-win for both St. Louis and New York on Monday night. You heard it here first, folks. Well, Sam Bradford had all those accolades a couple years ago for Oklahoma. Now it's Andrew Luck. Back to pass on first down. Luck looking long. It's complete. Owusu near the 50. Owusu into Arizona territory to the 35-yard line. Finally brought down at the 33 by Derek Earls. And Andrew Luck has a big smile after the completion to Owusu.
Way too much time. It's not going to work for Arizona this evening. When they rush 4 and Andrew Luck can survey, can step up, can get his feet underneath him, locked and loaded, and throw it down the field. You got to get to him. And not one grass stain yet on that jersey.
39-yard pickup. First down, give it right back to Stephon Taylor to make it 2nd down and about 7. Talked to Andrew this week, and he said, I'm almost sick of all the Heisman talk and all that. He said, it's not about my numbers, my performance. I have no problem pounding the rock. We came to Stanford to win a national championship. Yes,
look at the
Orange
helmets.
Bowl school record.
Look at the helmets of that offensive line. Look at Ben Gardner's helmet defensively. That is a group that will hit you, that prides itself, and credit Jim Harbaugh on really building that philosophy of pounding the rock and hitting you in the mouth.
Luck handing off again on 2nd and 7. Taylor near a first down, be 3rd and 1. David Shaw, first-year head coach at Stanford, but he was with Jim Harbaugh 06 to 2010 at both San Diego and Stanford. So a huge part. In fact, the offense, asked Stephon Taylor earlier this week how much of the offense is different. He said absolutely none. Same exact offense. There's an injured Wildcat. That's Marquise Flowers, the sophomore strong safety, and an already really banged up secondary for Arizona.
Can't afford that loss. It really blends, Stanford does, two things very, very well. The entire West Coast system, John Gruden's verbiage, and talking to David Shaw, and he didn't let me look at his play sheet. I tried, but it's all the same plays and language that he studied under John Gruden. And then really what Jim Harbaugh did over his tenure at Stanford was, that's fine and the West Coast is great, but we're not going to be all finesse. We're going to get in the weight room. We're going to get much more physical. We're going to run power football, and you recruit the types of David DeCastro and Jonathan Martin and the size and strength they have. So it really blends those two philosophies in one. Very physical, Power-O, Marty Schottenheimer football combined with the whole West Coast finesse system as well, and it makes it so difficult on a defense to contend with.
Shaw is a 1994 Stanford grad, got a sociology degree, played for both Denny Green and Bill Walsh, and worked under John Gruden, Brian Billick, Jim Harbaugh. So a tremendous coaching pedigree for a man in his first year as a head coach.
They will need Flowers to come back. 6'3", 220-pound safety.
Here's 3rd down and 1. Luck handing off. It will be 4th down coming up for Stanford. Jeremy Stewart, the 5th-year senior from Baton Rouge, is stopped just short. What do you do on 4th?
Unfortunately, not a ton of confidence when you run it up in there and watch your center, Sam Schwartzstein. Chase Beeler, the All-American last year, that did not happen. When he gets stood up and blown back like that, and we also saw in the 3rd and 1 call down at the goal line that right now the short yardage confidence to just line up and run it at you, David Shaw's not feeling that right now.
Andrew Luck stays on the field. 4th down and short coming. An official timeout, perhaps measurement coming. From the spot, certainly looked like Stanford would be short. And when you're talking about a power run team, Stanford has a lot of new faces on that offensive line, challenging to build it back up again to where Stanford ended 2010.
Don't tell Arizona that. They're facing the exact same thing on the other side, and there's simply no substitute for reps and experience when it comes to offensive line play and feel and push and working off on the linebackers. Also brute strength as well, which this group had in abundance a season ago.
It will be 4th down and very short. Speaking of the offensive line, Andrew Luck told me about all the hype and stuff like that. His offensive line, especially David DeCastro, has really excelled at keeping him humble and maybe pointing out how weird the beard looked that he grew at Pac-12 Media Day. So well done, David DeCastro, for being the guy who can bust on the star quarterback and keep him humbled and ready.
Big, mean, nasty, and physical is how Pep Hamilton summed up his right guard. And by going for it here, you're trying to set the tone and be that kind of team tonight.
And don't be surprised if this play goes right behind David DeCastro at right guard on 4th and very short. Wilkerson, the running back.
Sneak.
Luck turns, pitch to the weak side. Wilkerson inside the 10. 5 touchdowns. Stanford on 4th and short. The sophomore Wilkerson takes the pitch. 24 yards for a touchdown.
Our impact player we highlighted earlier this evening, Justin Washington, because of the weakness and the injuries at end for Arizona, he's a converted D tackle, and he looks like a D tackle, every bit of it there at 280. Credit Stanford staff of noticing that, taking advantage of it, counting on their running back, getting outside contain of a 280-pound D tackle trying to play on the edge.
BAT is good from Jordan Williamson. So A 10-0 start for Stanford. The number 6 ranked Cardinal taking care of business early in Tucson.
Pick your poison. You get everybody around that line of scrimmage. You're trying to play a tackle it in to be more physical. And then the home run hitter comes in. And what a strength Stanford has. I talked about the tight ends. You're going to see 4 running backs for Stanford tonight. We've seen Taylor. He's their bell cow, over 1,000 yards a season ago. Wilkerson is the most explosive, dynamic back. You'll see Tyler Gaffney, very versatile baseball player. He'll be out running routes as well. And then Patch, their big senior, Jeremy Stewart, their masher. So Anthony Wilkerson's a speed guy, just 10 carries, 20 yards coming in, so you know that feels good to him to get in the end zone.
And just like offensive coordinator Pep Hamilton said, we are a power running team. More rushes than passes for the Stanford Cardinal. And again, if you haven't watched a lot of Stanford, this is who they are. Andrew Luck gets all the publicity and all the attention, but it's a team that runs the football, pounds the rock.
70% a year ago, 32 touchdowns, over 3,000 yards, number 2 to Cam Newton in the Heisman chase. But as we see illustrated with the graphic tonight, they run it more than they throw it. Well, that's been the case all season long, and they want to be 50-50. And as Pep said, if we push 60-40 pass, I don't mind. And you know what? My star-studded quarterback, he doesn't mind either.
Jordan Williamson kicks off from the 30. Wooden takes it at the goal line for Arizona. Brought down at the 22. Arizona has gone 3 and out, 3 and out. Take the football from the 20. NASCAR Sprint Cup Series. The chase begins Sunday, ESPN Geico 400 at Chicago. First race in the chase for the Sprint Cup Championship.
I know we have an Aflac question later, but I know you're a huge NASCAR fan too. What do the SEC and Jimmy Johnson have in common?
You're going to go Amazing Kreskin on me and try and come up with that. Well, Brock, I'll tell you what. They are 5-time champions, the both of them, the SEC.
Well done.
And Jimmy Johnson. Foles play fake on first down. Nick Foles looking long and caught. What a grab by Dan Buckner, the junior from Allen, Texas. Transfer from the University of Texas, who had 10 catches, 142 yards a week ago against Oklahoma State. This one goes for 36.
It's funny how coaches work, isn't it? You got to be aggressive. Got to run the ball. Well, you know what? After 2, 3 and outs, you know what we got to do? Get the ball to our playmakers and let Nick Foles be what Nick Foles is, and that's special throwing the ball. Dan Buckner, a career day last week. One-on-one situations, your receivers must win tonight, and they will get one-on-one coverage.
Mike Pereira told us that should be a flag.
Pressure coming, handoff, dropped, and there is the madman in the Stanford linebacking core, Shane Scove.
He's a missile. He's our impact player. He wears number 11. Why? Because they look like 2 streamlined rockets, was what the Stanford undergrad said. And that's anticipating the play. That's studying tape. That is a perfect example of no hesitation in pulling the trigger.
And with that loss in the rush game, Arizona is -9 in the rush game because of the sack. Foles has time to throw on second down, gets rid of it, completes it inside the 20. David Roberts makes the grab. Foles took the hit and delivered. 27-yard pickup. Gardner applying the pressure.
Arizona has probably the deepest set of receivers in the Pac-12 with the University of Washington, and as far as experience goes, they are first on that list. They're all 6'3", 6'4", and athletic, and as you can see, have some pretty nice timing with their quarterback.
Arizona, big trouble spot, red zone, putting it in the end zone once they get inside the 20. So 1st and 10, Foles pumping, Nick Foles scrambling, sliding for a minimal gain. With the clock ticking towards the end of the first quarter, Thomas and Bergen combine on the stop.
Well, you said it right there. This is a group last year that really struggled, and you'll see that out of spread teams that have a hard time running the ball. They get into the red zone, and scoring touchdowns becomes difficult. Imperative for their psyche, for this crowd, to find a way to get the ball into the end zone.
5 trips versus Stanford last year into the red zone, only 2 touchdowns for Arizona. Nice snap. Foles flings it to the outside. There's Jerron Kreiner, who slips and falls. Minimal gain, and that's going to bring up 3rd down when we begin the second quarter. Stanford 10 on the board against Arizona. Can Nick Foles and the Wildcats put it in the end zone to begin the second quarter? Yesterday when we asked Arizona head coach Mike Stoops about his kicking game, he described it this way: worrisome. So first play of the second quarter is third down in the red zone. If you get it in the end zone, you don't even have to worry about that kicking game and even who kicks it, whether it's Salazar, Zendejas, or Bonanno. So this is a big third down play to start the second quarter for Nick Foles in Arizona. Reiner at the bottom of your screen. Foles looks the other way, complete, but appears to be short of a first down to the 10. Douglas makes the grab. Now fourth down, and Mike Stoops again has very little faith in the kicking game.
You have to get points. You have to get points in this game. As frustrating as that is, Stanford does the right thing. They win once again on third down. They rush 3. They drop 8 into coverage, force the underneath throw. This is the right decision. And your kicker must be able to make a 27-yarder.
Jaime Salazar, who was brought in to try and be the solution, but he's missed a short field goal. He's missed a PAT. This is from 27 for Salazar. Salazar's 27-yarder is good, bringing a big cheer from not only the Arizona fans, but from the Arizona sideline. Points on the board for the Cats and smiles all around at Arizona Stadium. Way out west to close out the college football day in Tucson, Arizona. This is the Pac-12. The Pac-8. Not the Pac-10, not the Pac-16. This is the Pac-12. And Arizona is in the South Division of the Pac-12. Stanford is in the North Division of the Pac-12. We have to keep going over these things because it seems like it changes just about hourly what the alignments and potential conference affiliations are. But for now, it's a Pac-12 game between Arizona and Stanford. Carter Blackburn, Brock Hewitt, Shelley Smith, our entire hard-working ESPN crew. John Bonanno's kickoff, fielded by Owusu, who will bring it out from 5 yards deep in the end zone. Chris Owusu trying to get around the corner to the 10. Great pursuit. Wade drops him in the 8. Let's go to the studio now in a moment because Owusu is down. Trevin Wade, who nearly had that interception, made a great open field tackle on Owusu, who comes charging off to the sideline, which is especially big because Kobe Fleener also came out of the game early for Stanford, the two biggest threats in the Stanford offense wide receiver-wise.
And no question about that. The two fastest players on offense, Owusu is their dynamic receiver. That is a shoulder issue, landed on it with the strong tackle by Wade. We saw Fleener right there, 82, out of the game earlier, took a shot, was also working on his shoulder. So Arizona setting the tempo tonight. Very, very physical, knocking out the two big playmakers of Stanford.
Taylor takes it on first down for a minimal gain. Vassallo makes a tackle.
First of all, Owusu has just got to take a knee. He catches that 3 yards deep and lands very awkwardly with that arm tucked underneath him. And that is a position that Stanford cannot afford to lose their biggest weapon.
Luck, play fake, throwing on second down. Ryan Hewitt makes the grab to move the chains across the 20. Marquise Flowers, who remember left the game for Arizona, back in to make the stop.
Stanford knew this would be a test coming into Arizona tonight. Wildcats play very well at home. Good to see Flowers back in. And now David Shaw is going to have to go on that play sheet and try to figure out, how do I get explosive playmakers without my two biggest weapons on the field right now?
First and 10 for the Cardinals. Taylor gets it running left with Hewitt clearing the way. Taylor breaks free. Stephon Taylor into Arizona territory. Still on his feet. Now he's pushed out of bounds. Derek Earls finally catches up with Taylor. Hewitt throws the lead block to spring a 49-yard gain for Taylor.
Did we talk power football? That's a fullback coming out. Watch DeCastro, the All-American guard as well, setting the edge. Taylor's not the game breaker that Wilkerson is, but plenty enough speed to make a real momentum-changing play just after Arizona put together a nice drive and got the crowd going. Stanford responds.
Andrew Luck and Stanford from the 30 with Hewitt motioning to the left side now.
Timeout. Arizona. That's their first charge timeout.
Cats take the timeout. First down coming for Andrew Luck at Stanford.
ESPN's College Football Primetime. Brought to you by the new 2012 Kia Soul. A new way to roll. And Dr. Pepper. With 23 flavors, Dr. Pepper is always one of a kind.
Nestled underneath the University of Arizona Stadium is the Stewart Observatory Mirror Lab, where founder Roger Angel pioneered a spin casting technology that's used to make these giant telescope mirrors in conjunction with other research specialists that help to move the technology forward. The facility is open to the public and to university students. Welcome to my university.
All sorts of interesting things around and underneath Arizona Stadium. Well, first down here for Andrew Luck and the Stanford Cardinal. What do you expect?
Watch with all that power. They love the play action pass. 1st and 10 at the 30 to the tight ends.
Play fake on first down. There's Luck throwing. It's Hewitt out of the backfield. Short gain. We check in with Shelley.
Chris Owusu appears to have an injured right shoulder. They were working on it. They have stuffed ice up under his jersey, and right now he's a spectator.
How does that affect Stanford when Owusu and Fleener are both banged up?
Got to be much more methodical. You're going to continue to see the basics of their offense, which is that power run game. And Andrew Luck has to be careful not to force the issue. But it's going to make the home run hitting playmaking.
Illegal block in the back, number 55 on the offense. 10-yard penalty. Remains first down.
Come to a halt, and these kind of penalties you've got to avoid, and that's a clear block in the back, no doubt about it, and that's Jonathan Martin, the All-American, All-Pac-10 left tackle. But as a quarterback here, you see Owusu out, you see Fleener out. Those are your security blankets. Those are the guys you trust so much. Well, Andrew Luck now has to put that same kind of trust into backups, and that offensive line, and DeCastro and Martin in particular need to emerge.
And with Stanford moving backwards here, Arizona needs to capitalize and get a stop. 1st and 17 after the penalty. Vassallo coming with pressure. Taylor blocks him. Luck scrambling. Luck will slide near the original first down marker, so back to 2nd and 10 for Luck, who takes a lot of the turf from Arizona Stadium with them into that knee brace. He wears like a lot of quarterbacks do on the lead knee. Arizona trying to change defensive personnel prior to 2nd down and 10. All marked ready. Power eye backfield. Now Ertz motions out. And off again to Taylor, fighting his way to the 25. That's going to bring up 3rd and about 5. And this is a huge 3rd down, especially for Arizona. If they need a stop here in a 10-3 ball game in the 2nd, this is a big 3rd down.
And this may be 2-down territory for Stanford with a redshirt freshman kicker. Williamson is 4 for 4, but this may be an opportunity where you say, you know what, this end of the field, veteran quarterback, trust my offensive line. This may very well be 2 play calls in 1.
Stanford has missed its last 3 3rd down opportunities. Luck to throw on 3rd and 5. He pumps. There's a flag down. False start. So before the play could get off, and Griff Whalen's frustrated.
False start. 55 on the offense. 5-yard penalty. Remains 3rd down.
That's 2 big penalties now on Jonathan Martin in the past 4 or 5 plays.
And that's too bad because that was going to be a touchdown. We've talked about matchups all game long. It's why they run all these formations. Take a look at Whalen down below. He's going to run a double move in a one-on-one situation. And that was going to be a touchdown as the Stanford sideline erupted.
Oh, that's why Whalen was so upset. So 3rd down and 10. Tim Kish's defense trying to come up with a stop. Luck dumped short, caught by Gaffney. Can't get to the outside, and the Wildcat defense comes up with a stop on third down. And here comes the kicking unit for Stanford on fourth.
That penalty takes away not only what would have been a touchdown, that whole two-play mindset of 3rd and 5. Well, that disappears as well when it's 3rd and 10, and you can't have that out of your best players. When you've lost your 2 playmakers, your 2 best linemen, Martin cannot afford back-to-back penalties.
45-yard field goal attempt coming from the redshirt freshman kicker, Jordan Williams. Williamson 45-yarder is easily good. So a 13-3 lead for Andrew Luck at Stanford at Arizona, but frustration for the Cardinals. Well, whenever the football team for Leland Stanford Junior University shows up, you're going to get the Stanford band and everything that comes with it.
I have one question for you. If you're a Stanford alum, are you proud of that? I mean, do you like that?
Well, you know, I mean, it's the reason why you've got the googly-eyed tree. I won't go into the whole story now, but when they changed their nickname to the Cardinal, they said the band is in charge of coming up with a mascot, and the band kind of poking fun at the administrator said, all right, we're the Cardinal. We're going to give you a goofy, googly-eyed tree. So, there you have it. Curry across the 20 to the 21. Let's send you back to SportsCenter right now, brought to you by Discover Card.
Carter, you're right on top of it. It is SportsCenter right now, brought to you by Discover Card, and it is a final. Oklahoma passes its road test, beating Florida State 23-13. That was the go-ahead touchdown. Landry Jones to Kenny Stills over Greg Reed. Sooners, that was a hard-hitting affair. Sooners have Missouri next. Yankees' Mariano Rivera got his career 601st save. That's tied with Trevor Hoffman atop the all-time list. SportsCenter's on ESPN News now.
Reese, we will look forward to it. Nick Foles is sacked. That play was blown dead before he released the football. Ben Gardner, the first-year starter, had a big sack versus Duke last week, is the one who gets to Nick Foles.
The quarterback was ruled to be going backwards and forward progress.
So sack rather than incompletion and potential intentional grounding. Potential intentional grounding? Is that in the rule book somewhere? No, I don't think it is. Well, nonetheless, it's a sack, -9, second 19. Foles over the middle. Jaron Kreiner makes the grab. Just about 2 yards short to make it 3rd and short, but a 17-yard gain for Kreiner. Shane Scove is down on the field for Stanford. And it is turning into a bad night injury-wise for the Stanford Cardinal with Chris Owusu, Kobe Fleener, and now Shane Scove, the leader of the Stanford defense, down on the field.
If you were to ask David Shaw, outside of Andrew Luck, your 3 most, and that is awful to see in the lower leg, your 3 most explosive, dynamic players, it's going to be Kobe Fleener, Chris Owusu, and defensively Shane Scove. And all 3 of those players tonight have taken some devastating hits, and Shane Scove is the guy that makes it go. Luck is the guy on offense. He's the vocal leader. He's the Heisman candidate. He is everything. Scove is the guy that sets the edge, sets the tempo, sets the identity of what Stanford is defensively, with his nature, with his engine, with his relentlessness.
And a big part of the road test for Stanford now is overcoming a myriad of injuries in Arizona. This is just moments ago, Shane Scove being helped off the field here at Arizona. So now 2 of the key players on offense and 1 on defense have hobbled off the field here in Tucson. For Arizona, 3rd down and short. Foles continues his perfect night, finding David Roberts to convert on a 1st down. Foles is now 9 for 9 for Arizona.
Told you this was a very deep receiving core, and that's what I call a vicinity pass. Just throwing it in the vicinity. I trust my receiver, and David Roberts does a fantastic job of going up behind him and making the 3rd down conversion.
Foles complete again to Kreiner. Kreiner slipping through the secondary to move the chains. We check in with Shelley.
I know. Shane Sko is clearly in a lot of pain. He is almost screaming. They have put him on the table. They put towels over his head. A lot of concern, a lot of players huddled around him trying to shield him from other people being able to see what's going on.
It's a bad situation. It's a bad situation for Shane Skov and for Stanford. Kadeem Carey, short gain on first down. So, Brock, as you said, these are three of the keys to Stanford's success in the injuries to Chris Owusu, Kobe Fleener, and now the leader of that Stanford defense, Shane Skov. How does this Stanford team, in the middle of a game dealing with all of those key injuries, how do they push through this?
That's Howell and Thomas on the back end. Thomas, your senior safety and captain, and Howell as well, your second team all Pac-10 performer. They must stand in the gap emotionally right now.
Foles completes, and he is perfect. Nick Foles, 11 for 11 now. This is David Douglas with the grab to make it third down and about 4 yards. Barry Browning on the stop.
And if you're Stanford or Arizona, you can't apologize. You've lost 4 starters to ACL injuries this year as well, and you must stay on the attack. You've knocked out 3 of their best players, period, and now you have to take advantage of that situation.
Remember, Nick Foles missed most of 3 games last year with a displaced kneecap. Matt Scott did a good job filling in for him. So Foles, the 5th-year senior for Arizona, on third down and 4, over the middle, complete. Nice tackle by Delano Howell, but it goes for another first down for the Cats. David Roberts makes the grab to move the chains.
Full sense of timing has been spot on. He hasn't missed, but he's also felt those edge rushers come, waiting for his receivers to get into the voids and delivering the ball accurately.
Foles out of the shotgun from the 36. Strings it to the flat, complete to Dan Buckner again. And Foles makes it 13 for 13.
Seth Luttrell, offensive coordinator, I thought made a fantastic point to us yesterday. How do you handle all these blitzes at Stanford, all the edge pressure, safety pressure? And he said very simply, tempo. We dictate, we get the ball out of our hands. Doing a nice job of that right now offensively. Got to keep it going.
Even though minus 15 yards in the rush game for Arizona, still moving the football. Buckner again makes the grab, this time inside the 10. Carrington on the stop, another 14 yards. Buckner hauls it in.
That's just a safety over the top. Nice job with the eyes. You see Foles freeze the cornerback in that 2-deep coverage. And what an advantage it is to have a 6'4" receiver to go take that contact and hold on from the safety.
Now can Arizona put it in the end zone? Red zone troubles for the Wildcats against the Cardinal. Field goal last time in the red zone. Antolin handoff on first down, gets to the 6. Second and goal coming. Chase Thomas makes a stop.
This is where box counts will dictate some of the run from Arizona. If they are a favorable box count, number of defenders between the tackles, they will run the ball. I recommend going to Kreiner, going to Buckner. Put the ball in your best players' hands. If you're struggling to score, give them those opportunities.
It's Buckner at the top of the screen, Kreiner at the bottom of the screen on second and goal. Foles looking left, complete, touchdown, Arizona. Jerron Kreiner, welcome back.
An 11-play, 79-yard drive, and the anticipation is beating the zone coverage right now at Stanford. And circle that play. That's the first touchdown these starters have given up all season, and it comes when they really lose the heartbeat of their defense. Shane Skov carried off the field earlier.
Salazar PAT is good. 13-10. Nick Foles is a perfect 15 for 15. 167 yards with a touchdown pass to Jerron Kreiner. Arizona within a field goal of 6th-ranked Stanford, the team who has the nation's longest winning streak. 10 straight wins coming into this game for Stanford. But it is going to be a road test in Tucson for Stanford, especially with these significant injuries for the Cardinals.
And it started with Fleener. The shot to the head by Earls there. He's not come back. Owusu, the arm tucks under awkwardly of the shoulder. He's packed in ice. And Shane Scove, the engine that makes that defense go in the middle. The leading tackler takes a shot to the knee, is carried off the field. And if you're David Shaw, this is where your demeanor helps. You are calm, cool, and collected. It helps that you have the best quarterback in college football on your team. But this is imperative now of your offense and your offensive line over the final 5 minutes and 57 seconds of this half to really declare to the rest of your team, we're okay. We can survive this and weather the storm. This is a big drive for the Cardinals.
Ty Montgomery back to receive it. Remember, Owusu is out. He hits a knee, touchback. We check in with Reese.
Well, with all the conference realignment, Utah now a member of the Pac-12, playing BYU early in the year. It's 24-10. This is the second time we've seen complete disaster on a kickoff today. Mo Lee scoops and scores for Utah. It also happened in the Nebraska-Washington game. Completely changed that game around. Utah's up 30-10 late in the third.
Time to check in on our Pac-12 update brought to you by Dr. Pepper. What stands out, Brock?
Really ugly in the afternoon. Fortunately for the conference, USC and Utah deliver in the late games. And we're seeing a real good one right now from Arizona, looking to knock off a ranked opponent for the 7th consecutive year.
Andrew Luck handing off to Stephon Taylor on first down. Short gain for Taylor.
Can you sense it? Can you sense what these fans are feeling in an enormous game for Arizona? And I don't want to overstate it, but when you look at that Pac-12 conference and schedule in particular, Stanford tonight, Arizona will have Oregon here next week. They go to USC. It all starts tonight. And right now, you just get the sense, the energy and the momentum and the injuries and everything else right now clearly in favor of Arizona.
Andrew Luck and the Stanford Cardinal dealing without two of its major playmakers on offense. 2nd and 8, Luck pressured, heaves, completes. Just short of a first down, 3rd down coming, but how about the play to get that football out to Owusu, who's back in the game now for the Cardinals.
And that is huge to have Owusu in the awareness of Andrew Luck to see the corner blitz. Talked about Arizona not wanting to be hesitant tonight. They bring the corner from the boundary. Andrew feels it, he retreats, and he puts them in a much more manageable 3rd down run-pass situation.
Stanford has failed to convert on its last 4 third downs. Luck to throw on 3rd and 2. Pressure. Luck will scramble and pick up the first down. Luck takes a hit at the end as he fails to slide, but gets to the 43. Derek Earls delivers the blow. Derek and Paul Vassallo and everybody else on the Arizona defense told us yesterday that's what they wanted to do tonight. Put a hit on Andrew Luck.
And unfortunately for those linebackers, when a quarterback comes up smiling, that's not the effect you want to have. And that is the X factor. Over 800 yards rushing in his career, more than any other of the great Stanford quarterbacks. Huge play for Andrew, feeling the pressure and having the athleticism to make the conversion with his legs.
16-yard run. That's the longest of the year for Luck. Complete over the middle on first down. It's Zach Ertz who makes the grab inside the 35. So Arizona has Stanford pinned back. 3rd down again. Luck scrambles, and now Luck downfield to Ertz.
Great teams and great players almost welcome adversity. The great quarterbacks, the Brady, the Mannings, the Breeze, the Rivers, bring blitz, bring pressure. I'm going to take advantage of it. And you look at Andrew Luck right now with the adverse situation he found himself on this drive, he's almost welcoming it, smiling through the contact and making critical plays.
Everybody bunched up on first down. Pitch goes to Gaffney. Gaffney stretches the outside and picks up positive yards on first down. Brock, you played Indianapolis Colts. You were in those meeting rooms with Peyton Manning. Andrew Luck, Peyton Manning. Is there a comparison to be made?
They are wired very similarly, very bright guys, and they don't get near enough credit for that. David Shaw talked to us. He showed us that play sheet. You can look at the wristband. He's once again going to the center's wristband because of the complexity within this offense. They are so sharp, and that allows them to slow this game down, even in pressure moments. To me, that's the trait those two share so similarly.
Lake Lock winding down, 2nd and 4. Lock apparently got it off. Where's he going to go with the football? Over the middle, complete. Toilolo makes the grab inside the 20, move the chains.
And oh, by the way, I can also get, like Peyton, to my 3rd or 4th option. If you're going to take away the front side, that's okay. I know the progressions. I'll step up in the pocket. That's a nice 6'8" target to have as a check down.
Toilolo has 2 grabs for 29 yards in the game.
No, you talked about the red zone for Arizona and then them having to score touchdowns. They did. And now Arizona defensively to keep this crowd alive and hope alive going into the locker room. This is a really big first down, a red zone series of their own.
Luck to the end zone on first down. It is knocked away. That's Trevin Wade, who nearly had the interception earlier, batting it away from Chris Owusu.
Chris Owusu is a really good player. And I thought it was pretty telling from Pep Hamilton and David Shaw when they told us on our call this week, we need more from Owusu. That every day David Shaw says to him, every game, I need you every game. And Pep Hamilton says, every play. I need you to bring it Justin Blackman style every single play, because they know if they're going to get back to where they want to be, and those are BCS games and a national title, they need him to be special.
Terrell, the receiver, on 2nd and 10. Luck turns and hands off. It's Taylor again. So here's yet again another big 3rd down, as unfortunately Shane Scobe is being carted off the field for the Stanford Cardinal. And that's extremely sad to see for a terrific young man and a big part of this Stanford football team. Andrew Luck pressured on 3rd and 6. Release is incomplete. Arizona brought the pressure. Vassallo getting to Andrew Luck, forcing him to release, and now it's 4th and 6. Field goal unit coming on.
No sense of disguise from Arizona. Look at no safeties. Look at the number of guys within 6 yards of that line of scrimmage. You're challenging Stanford's receivers to beat you in one-on-one situation while bringing the heat right up the gut. Stanford can't respond, and another critical red zone stop for Arizona defensively.
Williamson, redshirt freshman, he's been perfect in kicking game not only tonight, but in his first 3 games with Stanford. This is a 33-yarder, and it is good. So, Stanford makes it 16-10 with 1:22 to go in the first half. But Arizona keeps Andrew Luck and the Cardinal out of the end zone. Pulls football. Andrew Luck, 10 for 17, 144 yards. Good night, good numbers. But Nick Foles on the other side, 15 for 15, 167. Now, Nick Foles told us yesterday, people want to build this me versus him, Foles versus Luck. He said, unless I'm playing safety, it's not me versus him. It's our teams. It's Arizona versus Stanford. Gordon brings it out of the end zone. 5 yards deep across the 20 to the 21 as we check in with Reese Davis.
All right, Carter, coming up on the Wendy's halftime report, a physical game between number 1 and number 5 in Tallahassee. We'll show you how the Sooners were able to escape. The nation's longest winning streak came to an end earlier this afternoon as Auburn falls at Clemson. And you know how they say this too shall pass? Does not apply to Ohio State, at least not against Miami. We'll tell you why. Mark and Lou are here. See you in a little bit.
Can't wait to hear from Dr. Lou and Mark and Reese on the Wendy's halftime report coming up. Nation's longest winning streak now belongs to the Stanford Cardinal because of that loss for Auburn at Clemson. Crump makes that grab on first down. And yet the Cardinal in a tough road test. It's road test weekend. This game wraps it up, and it is going to be a tough test for Stanford. With its 10-game winning streak, Arizona has lost 6 straight versus FBS teams. Only win during that stretch, opener against Northern Arizona. And yet Nick Foles and the Arizona Wildcats a chance to move the football at the end of the half, down only by 6. Crump with a couple juke moves to get the first down. Clock stops temporarily, minute 4.
And you're seeing every one of these Arizona receivers respond as well. They can feel it. They can sense it. They're a step ahead of this back 7 right now of Stanford.
Tempo for Arizona. They are comfortable at this pace, and essentially a 2-minute offense. Now less than a minute to go in the half. Nick Foles, the 5th-year senior from Austin Westlake High School, started his career at Michigan State. Viola Antolin busts his biggest run of the night for another Arizona first down near midfield. And Brock, when you think at the end of the half here, with the lack of faith in the Arizona kicking game, that could affect some decisions toward these waning seconds of the half.
Can't waste these seconds right now.
2 timeouts left for the Cats. Foles, difficult throw into coverage. Pass is incomplete, intended for Roberts. Tight coverage, but no flag from the free safety, Michael Thomas.
What I mean by that is after that run and they move the chains, you have an opportunity immediately to call that play, and the instant that ball is marked, snap the ball. You don't have time to waste a 4 or 5 seconds. Now it's a moot point here with the incomplete pass. But there does have to be an incredible sense of urgency here, because getting 3 points will make an amazing difference running into that halftime locker room.
How about 6 or 7 points?
That too.
Roberts motion on 2nd and 10. Foles looks that way, but misses him. So after Nick Foles went 17 for 17, back-to-back incompletions, and all of a sudden we got 3rd and 10.
And that was one of those throw behinds that you see so common in football today. And normally he is spot on those. Roberts, he sensed it and felt it. That's just the first misfire. Pretty critical one here in the 2-minute drive.
Still 2 timeouts for Arizona and 2 timeouts for Stanford. Plenty of time for Foles. He throws complete to the 35. Richard Morrison, the sophomore from Royce City, Texas, makes the catch. 15-yard pickup. 22 seconds as they move the chains.
That's a smart timeout. And if you noticed a little trend, Shane Scove goes out of the game. And what do you see Arizona immediately doing? They're starting to attack the middle of those zones. And this is a deep receiving core, as we mentioned, all night long for Arizona. There's a reason that Nick Foles is having the success he's having tonight, because he's got a very deep, experienced group that's really finding those voids in the zone, and Nick is playing fast. These coaches talked about it. He lost weight. He really took a concerted effort into his conditioning, and maybe more than anything, studying this playbook so he can get to number 2 and number 3 and do it in a rapid manner that really has Stanford on their heels defensively.
We know what's on the line for Stanford. Number 6 team in the country, nation's longest winning streak. This is a big game for Arizona, program-wise, momentum in the program-wise, and a big opportunity for Nick Foles and the Cats.
And they know the schedule. Every coach is going to tell you the next game is the most important, and it's this one. But they're aware of what's ahead of them with Oregon and USC as well.
Foles on first down. Fumbles the football. Loose on the ground. Arizona appears to recover. Foles just loses it while scrambling out of the pocket, and now there's 7 seconds left in the half.
You see a level of poise for Mike Stoops right there. He understands what frustrates him the most are mental errors. He knows that's a physical error, that his 5th-year senior quarterback rarely makes those mistakes. And unfortunately for Arizona, he saw so much green grass ahead of him, and he's not a guy that scrambles and runs. He'll move around in the pocket, but that was going to be 10 to 12 yards. There was no one on that edge. Just lost a little focus, and fortunate for Arizona, hustling to the loose ball.
Speaking of Mike Stoops and frustration there, we had as they say in diplomatic terms, a frank and open discussion with Coach Stoops about sideline demeanor. It's become a real hot-button issue around college football, including here in Tucson. And Mike Stoops essentially said, I'm going to be who I am. I am a passionate coach, and when things are going well, people love it. And when you've lost 6 out of 7, people then start to say, hey, we don't like it. And that was pretty open discussion.
Well, and I think his point as well, and I think Frank's the right way, is, hey, if you're going to show me being emotional, which I am, and I'm not going to apologize for that, also show me when I have a little poise, as I do right there. And he could have lost it and the frustration, but he knew with Nick Foles, he trusts him completely, as he told us yesterday, that's not going to happen very often. Hey, when I am poised and have some composure, I'll document that as well.
And a great piece from Tom Rinaldi game day about the entire Stoops family, understanding where a lot of that passion comes from. Foles throwing long on 2nd down. Nobody's there, including his intended receiver, Kreiner. Johnson Batamosi, the cornerback, was the nearest guy. So here's 3rd down coming. Let's go back to that play where Foles fumbles.
Unfortunately for Nick Foles, maybe some of that conditioning included Pilates this offseason. He said it was boxing, but that right leg buckles underneath him. And fortunate for the Wildcats, and you can see, I think, even Nick Foles gathering himself to make sure that leg responds, and it did.
7 seconds. Are you going for the 1st down? Or are you going for field goal position?
Field goal position.
Foles is going to heave it to the end zone. It's Kreiner, and Kreiner incomplete. Flag down. Pass interference coming on Batamosi. Half won't end here on the defensive flag. Because of the defensive penalty, that zeros on the clock is negated.
Got to be honest with you, Stanford is a very smart football team. But a little perplexed.
Pass interference. Defense, number 27. That's a 15-yard penalty. Automatic 1st down. The period will be extended for 1 untimed down.
Untimed down, and a big question mark here for Arizona because of the difficulties in the kicking game.
This is decision time for Coach Stoops. It was easy earlier on the 27-yard field goal, and I think once again, with as clearly and as good as that operation was the first time, and Salazar has the leg to get this done. A little perplexed that Stanford left the best player on the field for Arizona in a one-on-one situation. Can they make them pay for that penalty?
Jaime Salazar, who made a 27-yarder. This is from 45, would be his long as an Arizona Wildcat. Untimed down, last play of the half. Salazar's kick is way off. Missed field goal. Stanford takes a 16-10 lead to the half. In the battle of the quarterbacks, Andrew Luck goes 10 for 17. Nick Foles 18 for 21. But it's 16-10, Stanford on Arizona, as we send you to the studio for the Wendy's Halftime Report. Blood pressure, too better. Keep rising up. Blood pressure. You're on the road. On the road that's far. Nighttime is indeed prime time in the desert, so we welcome you back to ESPN College Football Prime Time, presented by Hampton Hotels. The nation's longest winning streak is on the line. Number 6 Stanford in the 16-10 game at Arizona. Carter Blackburn, the former All-Pac-10 quarterback, Brock Heward, Shelley Smith on the sideline. How much trouble is the nation's longest winning streak Stanford possesses? How much trouble is that winning streak in the second half?
I think they're in real trouble. You lose the heartbeat of your defense. Shane Scove goes out with looks like a lower leg knee injury. He's done for the night. Kobe Fleener, their most explosive player offensively at tight end, he is done for the night. Arizona, we asked them to be physical in the open of this show. They had to hit Andrew Luck. They had to set the tone. And in that second quarter in particular, they really responded.
Arizona won the toss in this game, elected to defer. They kept Andrew Luck in the Stanford offense out of the end zone off the scoreboard on the opening drive. So this is exactly the scenario that Mike Stoops envisioned. Tight game, second half. Give the football to your offense with a chance to go down the field, score, and take the lead. Kadeem Carey across the 20 to the 25, 30, 35. Good field position for the Arizona offense, rather. Stanford offense, captained by Andrew Luck.
Lots of yards, 291 of total offense, but it was the contact in that second quarter. Stanford just 2 of 7 on third down, and those shots start to add up. If you're going to get Andrew Luck out of rhythm, it's going to be through contact. And speaking of rhythm, how about Nick Foles in that first half? Look at how his throws, how the anticipation beats the zone coverage. None better than that touchdown to Kreiner.
Foles completed his first 17 passes. So the fifth-year senior from Austin Westlake High School, same high school that produced Drew Brees, out of the shotgun on 1st and 10. Handing off, Antolin the running back. Antolin turns it upfield for the biggest rush of the night for Arizona. -6 rushing yards in the first half for Arizona. 31 on the first play of the second half.
Biggest rush of the night. How about biggest rush of the season for Arizona? Stanford brings edge pressure, and you see a backup linebacker just a little step slow. They attack the middle of that zone in the absence of Shane Scove. Maybe one of the adjustments at halftime is also to run between the tackles.
More rushing yards on that play for Antolin than he had the entire Oklahoma State loss last Thursday to put Arizona at 1-1 on the year. And now Foles is going to have to take a timeout prior to first down. Had trouble lining up the offense. So Arizona, less than 40 seconds into the second half, uses its first timeout.
Trying to avoid the negative play, and there weren't very many of them for Nick Foles. In particular, look at underneath coverage here. That is one incompletion, and if I remember that was even a throwaway. And what that tells me, and really the shots we showed coming out of halftime, when you hear coaches talk about playing fast, I want my guys, you hear it, right? All season long, we'll go into production meetings, Carter, and defensive coaches will tell you, I need them to play fast. I need them to play fast. I don't want them thinking. I want them reacting. That's what Nick Foles is doing offensively. Picture perfect. He's getting the ball out of his hands. He's avoiding negative plays, and he's throwing guys open into the voids of many of these soft zone coverages.
You're also going to hear a lot about gap integrity and tackling in space. I guarantee that's 2 big takeaways from all the production meetings we're in. Antolin on first down, dropped for a loss. So already in reverse in the running game again. Chase Thomas leads the way along with Ben Gardner for Stanford.
Yeah, take a look at that. You want to talk about the influence that Shane Scove has? I called him the heartbeat of that defense. That's Chase Thomas, and that's number 11 clearly on his biceps. He's going to be playing for his middle linebacker this second half.
Shane Scove, the inside linebacker for Stanford, the junior, was carted off. We don't have an injury update on Shane Scove, but it looked to be a serious injury in that first half. On the draw, Antolin spinning away. Antolin first down inside the 20. Arizona gets it back.
With all the blitz and the edge pressure, Stanford will beat you in the run game at times. They simply will. They will outnumber you. However, you also have an opportunity when you can run away from that blitz, as Arizona has now done on 2 of 3 occasions to begin this half.
Red zone again for Mike Stoops in Arizona. Touchdown the last time in the red zone for the Cats. Trouble spot throughout the past 2 seasons for Arizona offensively, in large part because there have been so few opportunities like that for Antolin in the ground game.
What you're also going to see with the youngest offensive line in college football is some good plays and then some hiccups. Get into rhythm, get to the second level, get on guys, and then a couple plays illustrated on this drive of, are you blocking even the right guy? That's what happens when you start 2 redshirt freshmen at tackle.
Pulls the throw on second down to the end zone. It is incomplete, intended for Dan Buckner. Let's quickly check in with Shelley Smith.
Stanford coach David Shaw told me that losing 2 players, even though it's an emotional loss, he said there's no way these guys are going to let the losses of Kreiner or of Scove affect them. In fact, they're going to play even harder for them.
Well, and you saw that there for the 11 on Chase Thomas, and now 11, I mean, all over that Stanford defense. That's a halftime adjustment by that defense who saw Shane Scove, their leader, being carted off the field and playing for him here in the second half. 3rd and 10. Foles feels the pressure. Foles will have to release Incomplete. So that play was not whistled dead. It was an incompletion. It's 4th and 10. Trent Murphy is the one who wrapped up Foles.
Is that Ben Roethlisberger of the Pittsburgh Steelers or Nick Foles of Arizona? How many times do you see Ben Roethlisberger keeping plays alive just like that? That's 6'5", 240-pound advantage. And is this a big field goal for Mike Stoops in Arizona after the woeful attempt to end the first half?
Jaime Salazar missed badly from 45. This is 36 for the junior from Trinity Valley Community College. Good hold. Salazar's kick is no good. The kicking game continues to be a huge problem for Arizona. A drive that ends in 0 points. -6. Andrew Luck and the Stanford Cardinal with a 6-point lead on Arizona. Luck under center. 1st and 10 from the 20. Handing off Stephon Taylor behind the blocking of Ryan Hewitt. Taylor near another Stanford first down. Cardinal offense playing without one of its big playmakers, Kobe Fleener, who was hit hard, and a concussion concern for Fleener and Stanford in that first half.
You want to bring out the emotional side of Mike Stoops? It's technique. He is adamant right now with his senior linebacker, Paul Vassallo. He was mistaken the first time as well in that power O. You've got to keep your outside arm free if you're 41. DeCastro's going to do his damage. But Vassallo, that linebacker now, on 2 occasions, has allowed Stanford to get outside and lose contain because he's not keeping that outside arm. He's trying to go underneath that block. And that is what drives Mike Stoops nuts, because his senior's making those mental mistakes, and he knows Vassallo is the guy that can respond to that kind of emotion as well.
Luck throwing on first down. It's caught by Ertz, turning upfield for another Stanford first down. And it was Vassallo who told us yesterday, you know, if you mess up the first or second time, you're going to get one discussion. If it's 3 or 4 times, it's going to be a whole different discussion with the head coach.
And if it's fundamentals and details, and this is a game against Stanford, it's methodical. The way Stanford plays, we have seen that tonight. They don't have home run hitters. They're not the most explosive offense. And defensively, just do the fundamental techniques, the details that we teach and we preach to you. And that's what draws his ire when his seniors and his leaders don't respond doing the little things correctly.
Luck from the shotgun. Over the middle, caught. Whalen makes the grab for a gain of maybe 3 on first down. The ruling is that Whalen was stopped. So even though the football comes out, it's a gain of about 4 for Whalen there. So, Brock, if you talk about Luck and doesn't have a whole lot of home run hitters, what makes this offense so effective?
It's the same level of details. Now let's watch the video. Are they calling his momentum stopped? Was the whistle blown before the ball's ripped away?
It's in the books now. Taylor running behind Hewitt again on the outside. This time, Rob Hankins, the true freshman middle linebacker for Arizona, there to make the stop.
And did you see number 41, Paul Vassallo? Exactly what we were just preaching, technique. That power, it's not complicated. Now, Stanford will do it out of a number of formations and motions and personnel groups. And that time, you saw him keep contained, keep that outside arm free, funnel everything into the rest of the flow. And that's the difference between a 1-yard gain and a 17-yard gain.
3rd down and 6 for Andrew Luck and Stanford in a road test to close out the weekend. Pass is incomplete. Wade was locked right on Chris Owusu, and there is Mike Stoops to pick up his senior cornerback, Trevin Wade, pat him on the back of the helmet.
Trevin Wade is playing with a lot of swagger out there as a corner. There is no fear of Chris Owusu. I'm going to stay one-on-one. I'm going to even have a little extra contact, and I'm going to sit on all your routes. And until Stanford can take the top off, and without Fleener, their tight end, their explosive guy, Arizona will continue throughout this game to squat on those routes outside.
Big stop by the Arizona D. Green hangs it high. David Douglas, fair catch inside the 15. Arizona D comes up with a big stop. Now can Nick Foles and the Wildcat offense get it in the end zone.
ESPN's College Football Primetime. Brought to you by Hyundai. If it's fuel efficient, affordable, stylish, and safe, it's probably a Hyundai.
This is the Titan Missile Museum just outside Tucson. Thank goodness it's a museum now. ICBM nuclear missile site. And then thankfully didn't have to launch it. Capable of traveling 6,300 miles in 35 minutes. And it is a beautiful moon over the desert here in Tucson, Arizona. As we close out road test weekend, college football Saturday. Nick Foles in Arizona providing a test against 6th-ranked Stanford, who has the longest winning streak in the nation now. Foles to Kreiner, incomplete. Jaron Kreiner, who just 12 days ago had an appendectomy, back on the field for the Cats, first time tonight.
And he was red hot. Couldn't have been any hotter. 17 of 17 to begin this game. And with that miss, now just 1 of 7, and he knew it. We talked about him being a little more athletic and running away from his arm. And that's the throw you can't afford to miss. Stanford wants to get this game to 3rd down so they can get their blitz fest on. You avoid that by completing the ones you should hit.
Foles completed his first 17, 1 for 7 since. Antolin slips and falls, bringing up 3rd and long. Brock, what's behind those numbers?
Well, some of them are shots down the field, and we've seen a couple near misses on the go routes down the field. And like that first down play that once again now puts you in the 3rd and long situations, and now you're playing to the strength of Stanford's defense. Either they're going to play and drop 8, rush 3 as they've done, or they're going to come after him off the edge.
3rd down, Foles scrambling out of the pocket, pressured by Gardner. Heaves it long downfield for Buckner, who just misses the chance to haul it in with Barry Browning in tight coverage downfield. Arizona goes 3 and out.
Now 1 of 8, and it was the latter. They've decided to do 2 things in those 3rd and long situations. As Buckner also battling a shoulder. They've played a lot of coverage, or they've come after Nick Foles. He does a nice job of extending the play, buying some time, showing that added dimension this season. And unfortunately, they've misfired. And for Mike Stoops, he knows he's got to change field position here. And a good punt would go a long ways in doing so.
Kyle Dugancic, the punt. And Arizona should have a short field. Terrell lets it go over his head, backing up all the way to the 25. Now Terrell makes the first 3 tacklers miss. Flag down, Terrell to about the 36. 11-yard return after a 61-yard punt from Kyle Dugancic. Rob Hankins on the stop, but again, flag on the field.
Illegal block in the back. Number 17 on the return team. 10-yard penalty. First down.
Forget what I said about a short field for Stanford. NASCAR Sprint Cup Series, Geico 400 at Chicago. The chase is underway. Dale Earnhardt Jr. First time in the chase since 2008. Coverage starts at 1 o'clock Eastern Time, Sunday on ESPN. So, yeah, we're just hours away from race time as well with the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series.
It's called hidden yards. Terrell's got to come up and field that punt at the 40. Look at the difference. Lets it go over his head, and with the penalty, that's some 25 yards lost in real estate.
Luck handing off to Stephon Taylor, the junior from Mansfield, Texas. Only a few on first down. Paul Vassallo there on the stop. But Stanford, that power running team, committed to running the football, setting up everything else.
Well, you know what you're seeing now, and David Shaw told us that, hey, we wanted to bloody our knuckles the first few weeks. We were going to run against 8 men in the box, 9 men in the box. Right now, that's the way Arizona's playing. They're pressing outside. They're forcing Stanford to make a play and committing a lot of people around the line of scrimmage to stop that run.
Luck to throw on second down. Over the middle, complete. Ertz makes the grab. Just short of a first down. 3rd and short coming here for Stanford. Visiting with David Shaw about Andrew Luck, and we asked him the question with everything that's been said, what can you tell us about Andrew? He said, this is the real Andrew Luck. The face that he presents understated, a little bit goofy. But he wants the Stanford Cardinal to pound it. Knows that's the nature of this team. And here it is, 3rd and 1 for Luck and Stanford.
And just 2 of 8 this evening in third down situations.
To throw on 3rd and 1. Downfield complete. Wide open Toilolo to the 35. Knocked out of bounds at the 30. On 3rd and 1 to Toilolo for a huge gain. 39 yards.
We talked about those senior linebackers and that power run game and the details. Look at your 2 linebackers and the big tight end on the corner route. Watch them suck up to the play action.
You can put Flowers in that group as well as safety.
Been waiting for that play action shot. It's been hard yards for Stanford tonight. Not many explosive plays. A couple have gotten out in the run. You're just waiting for them to use their tight ends in that play action pass down the field.
That changes the field position as well. Play action again on 1st down. Luck pressured. Luck scrambling. Luck running. 1st down. Andrew Luck finally dragged down inside the 20.
It's interesting coming into this game tonight through the first 2 weeks. 5 rushes and 11 yards for Andrew Luck. He was their second leading rusher a season ago. Over 400 yards, rushing over 800 in his career. And I think he's understanding the nature of this game tonight. That, you know what, outside, we're not winning. I'm missing my home run threat in Fleener, and he's doing whatever it takes. Go ahead and put that as his mantra. Whatever it takes to get the job done.
Luck has nearly as many rushing yards as Arizona does tonight. Handing off to Taylor, who's over 100 rushing yards on the night himself. And Stephon Taylor picks up about 3. Talked to Stephon earlier this week, who said the best text message he ever got is when he was coming home from the Orange Bowl, stopped through Dallas, Texas, and when he landed back in San Francisco down the road from the Stanford campus, turned on his cell phone, and there was a text message saying Andrew Luck is coming back. Forget about being the #1 pick in the NFL draft, unfinished business. He's going to come back for his junior year. Remember, Andrew Luck is a junior eligibility-wise for Stanford, is on track to graduate in the spring. Luck pumps to the end zone on 2nd down for Ertz. It's incomplete and nearly picked by Shaquille Richardson.
We saw Shaquille Richardson earlier with Griff Whalen on a double move that was going to be a touchdown, if not for a false start right on number 5. This time, Shaquille plays it exactly right. They tried the double move outside with Ertz. He doesn't bite, and he nearly makes the interception in the end zone.
3rd down, Arizona trying to hold Stanford to a field goal attempt. Keep him out of the end zone.
For the 4th time tonight, believe it or not, 4th time in the red zone, an opportunity to hold the Cardinal to just a field goal.
Luck rolling on 3rd down. Andrew Luck to the end zone. It is caught for a Stanford touchdown. Zach Ertz makes the grab. Andrew Luck converts on 3rd down to put Stanford up by 12 with a PAT coming.
That's a 6'6", 250-pound tight end against a cover corner in Shaquille Richardson. He didn't get the double move earlier, but this time Richardson does not play the corner route at all. Ertz turns him around, and that's too easy for Andrew Luck.
First touchdown pass of the night for Andrew Luck, his 7th of the season. After 32 a year ago. 13-point edge for the Cardinal. Forever and forever, Stanford Red. Cardinal white and green on the jersey for Zach Ertz. Touchdown grab to put Stanford up 23-10. Andrew Luck with a touchdown pass, first of the night. 52nd in his Stanford career. That ties the great Jim Plunkett for 3rd all-time in school history. Pretty good company for Andrew Luck amidst the legacy of great quarterbacks for the Cardinals.
Not been an easy evening for Andrew Luck. A lot of contact. He's had to use his legs. But credit there to Zach Ertz, tight end, beating a cover corner in a one-on-one situation.
Williamson's kick taken by Kadeem Curry, the true freshman running back from right here in Tucson. It can be explosive. Gets it out to the 28 on a critical drive for Arizona. Let's take a closer look at David DeCastro.
Why Andrew Luck likes to pound the rock, why he's a little goofy and funny, why this guy holds him accountable, because David DeCastro is a monster. You're looking at a first or second round NFL draft pick next fall. His movement, his tenacity, it's the Andrew Luck show. He's the Heisman candidate. But that All-American right there really sets the edge. And what's great shots tonight of him and his devastation up front.
What about the knee bend, Brock?
Good knee bend. Poor gap integrity.
Foles throws complete. Roberts makes the grab to the 40. Howell on the stop. 13-yard pickup.
Critical drive.
Yep.
Critical drive. The Heisman Trophy candidate does what he's supposed to do. Adverse situation, tough sledding tonight, no problem. If you're Nick Foles right now, you had to have a conversation on the sideline with your team and your veterans. You are the veteran for the Wildcats, and this is a big, big drive to answer that touchdown from Stanford.
Turning, giving to Kadeem Carey. Very little doing there. So second down as Arizona continues to struggle in the ground game. Only 39 rushing yards. An Arizona team who's averaging only 58 rushing yards a game. And now that's against Northern Arizona, against Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State's really good.
Well, it's Stevens, it's Gardner, it's Masafilo. It's the front right now of Stanford that's helped control that run game.
So pass it. 2nd and 10. Buckner makes the grab. About 2 yards short, so that's going to be 3rd and 2 coming up for Arizona.
Play to your strength. That's what you're saying. It's fine to run it, and you got to have a semblance of balance to slow down the rush. But ultimately, if you're going to win this game, and Mike Stoops knows that, it's going to be on the arm of Nick Foles and these receivers to continue to make the plays down the field.
Critical drive, critical 3rd down. Foles feels the pressure, takes the sack at the 40. Huge play. Vaughters brings the pressure and gets to Nick Foles. If that's a critical drive for Arizona, that's a critical defensive stop for Stanford.
That's just a 4-man rush, and the true freshman against redshirt freshman tackle. Too athletic. He's done that this season on a number of occasions. 3.5 tackles for loss now and a sack. A little bit of man coverage outside as well. Made Nick Foles hold the ball. Enormous sack for the Cardinal.
Stanford forces another punt. Dugancic gets off a good one, maybe too good, into the end zone for a touchback. NFL 32 is a highly interactive program driven by social media. Join host Susie Colbert, senior insider Chris Mortensen, and a rotating cast of NFL analysts weekdays 6 Eastern on ESPN2. NFL 32, where everyone has a voice.
Great matchups tomorrow in the NFL as well. I don't know if there's any bigger than Michael Vick returning to Atlanta. And trust me, this guy, well, he'd have been playing for Carolina last weekend if he would have come out. The highest prospect Mel Kiper's evaluated since John Elway way back in the early 80s.
Luck throwing on first down, incomplete, intended for Whalen. And when you say you're going to be the #1 pick, and you say, you know what, I'm going to come back for school. A great article in the New York Times by Pete Thamel, really spending some time on campus with Andrew Luck right after he made that decision. And Luck's a guy who genuinely loves college, loves to learn. Mechanical engineering, so part football decision to come back and try and win a national championship with Stanford, part academic decision. The NFL will be ready for Andrew Luck when he is ready, no doubt. Taylor picking his way for 6 more, maybe 7 more.
It's not terribly complicated. I know the personnel groupings are. I know the blur is Tim Kish, defensive coordinator, talked about everything that Stanford does with motions and shifts, but ultimately, how many times have we seen that play tonight? I love teams that have an identity, and I think great teams do. Something to hang your hat on, and that power run behind David DeCastro, this team has feasted on it, lived on it tonight. And, oh, by the way, Andrew Luck's also made a few plays in third down in critical situations, too.
So that's Stephon Taylor, 110 rushing yards. Arizona, 31 on the night. Luck to throw on third down. Incomplete. Physical coverage, no flag. Shaquille Richardson right there on Owusu again to force the punt.
You know what that conversation of Andrew Luck and Chris Owusu is? Exact conversation. They know, and Andrew knows, if they're going to get to the national championship, which is their goal this year after winning 12 a year ago, he's going to need Owusu to win outside. That's what the coaches were talking about with every play. You got to win on every play. If you're going to be a difference maker for us, that's one-on-one situation. And Richardson all over Owusu with no separation gained.
Flag on the play. Oh, boy. If this is, and it is looking like against Arizona, that's only the second penalty of the night, but a huge one.
Offsides on the defense. Player was in the neutral zone and threatened an offensive player. 5-yard penalty. Yardage will result in a first down.
Boy, for an Arizona team that has not only made numerous penalties, but penalties at bad times, to force the punt and then get lined up in the neutral zone, offsides infraction.
You pick the adjective. Devastating, deflating.
Frustrating, maddening. It's kind of fun, Mad Libs. Taylor on first down, right back to pounding the rock. Derek Earls makes the stop there on first down.
You know what I would love to see is how many Taylor's yards have been on the left side of that line tonight. To my eye, it appears that 90% of his 100-plus have all come on that left side.
And when you say left side, I mean, that doesn't have to be the left tackle and left guard, right? Is Taylor picks up maybe one more?
No, it's playing to your strength. It's David DeCastro, your right guard, an All-American, getting out and setting the edge in that power run game. And the really good teams that have that identity I was talking about, they don't care if the opponent knows it. They really don't care if the scouting report shows that, hey, we're going to throw it or we're going to run it to this spot this many times, because if you can't stop it, it doesn't matter that you know it's coming.
Play clock was at zeros. Yeah, I think there was a problem with the play clock. Play clock wasn't properly reset. We'll see. Oh, we're set for 3rd and 3. No matter what the scenario. Luck under center on 3rd down. Quick drop, quick hitter, complete. Whalen, first down, Stanford. The drive that would have ended if not for an offsides penalty on Arizona before the punt.
And we've seen Nick Foles a number of times throw his receivers open. Andrew did a really nice job with his eyes, not looking to that slant to Whalen too early. Kept his eyes down the middle of the field, manipulated that defense, and found the window to his buddy Whalen for the conversion.
And we know Nick Foles was ready to take that football. Luck throwing on first down out of the backfield. Ryan Hewitt, the junior from Denver's Mullen High School, has another Stanford first down. Move the chains again. Now inside the Arizona 35.
They're just relentless in how sound they are in so many ways. Relentless in how they attack you. I don't know if there's a better team, and it has a lot to do with Andrew Luck, that can be as methodical. Fine, we got to go 10 plays, 12-play drive to move it down the field. We can do that. A lot of precision within this offense.
Through 3 quarters, Andrew Luck and Stanford passing the road test, but the exam isn't over yet. ESPN College Football Primetime presented by Hampton Hotels. End of road test weekend, so who gets an A+ in the road test?
No one is talking about Boise State, and you see elite teams rising to the occasion on the road.
1st and 10, first play of the 4th quarter. Luck to the end zone. Toilolo, touchdown, Cardinal. A+ for Stanford in its road test at Arizona. 2nd TD pass for Andrew Luck.
I said not complicated earlier with the run game and the power O and everything else. The play action pass isn't exotic stuff either. And how Toilolo at 6'8", 265 can get that loss down the field is just a lack of discipline. The eyes of those Arizona defenders, all that run, setting up that shot down the field.
This is the Stanford drive that would have been over if not for offsides on punt defense by Arizona. Kept the drive alive. Andrew Luck and Stanford make the Wildcats pay for another critical penalty.
2 things stand out. Look at the number of bodies around the line of scrimmage. Well, that's a commitment it takes when you get into that lineup. And then Toilolo off of that power play action run, the hard fake, everybody sells it. Look at that line. Does any aspect of that offensive line look like pass? No, it doesn't. I talk all the time about details with Stanford. Well, one detail in their play action pass, that offensive line helped Sells run with that heavy action, and Arizona undisciplined on the back end. And Andrew Luck. Tonight, you know what it's been about to me? Perseverance. I lose Owusu. We lose the leader defensively in Shane Scove. I lose Fleener. It's not pretty. It's not easy. But it's resilience. It's perseverance. It's poise. It's Andrew Luck once again delivering in the clutch.
There's good pass coverage by Zach Ertz there, too.
Yeah, there were a couple guys open, weren't there?
Yeah, when you've got 2 tight ends running free to the end zone, problem. It was like a jump ball for that touchdown. There he takes it in. We check in with Reese.
Carter, it is time for SportsCenter right now, presented by Discover Card. Number 1, Oklahoma passed its road test. Boy, a stern one it was. A hard-hitting game, not decided until Landry Jones found Kenny Stills for the go-ahead touchdown. A field goal was added. 23-13. Number 1 beats Florida State. And a report now says that the ACC accepts Syracuse and Pittsburgh. We expected that. SportsCenter coming up after the game. It's also on ESPN News.
Well, here in Tucson, Arizona, Cats put up a test. It was a 6-point game at the half. Arizona has not scored in the second half. A couple of touchdown passes for Andrew Luck in the second half. Wide receiver screen to Jerron Kreiner. Good for about 8. Is Kreiner down? He was never marked down, and now Kreiner is running free for the wildest touchdown of the weekend in college football. Jerron Kreiner takes it 80 yards. Knee never hit the ground. Or was he? This will be reviewed.
The prior play is under further review. The ruling on the field is that the runner rolled over a pile, continued to run, and scored a touchdown.
And Kreiner nearly stopped on the play, too.
Jailbreak screen, trying to get the ball out of his hands. My best playmaker on offense. just rolls over the top of his own player.
The only question is the knee down there as he rolls over the defender? All right, here's the rule, Brock. When any part of the ball carrier's body except his hand or foot touches the ground, that is when the ball is declared dead. So again, any part of the ball carrier's body, usually knee, except hand or foot touches the ground, that's when the ball is declared dead. Did you see a knee?
I don't think so. And in fact, I think the hesitation on Kreiner's end almost benefited him as Stanford and the young safety there, Carrington, stood around and let Kreiner take off.
Well, if this is a touchdown, Arizona has to capitalize on a wild touchdown trying to get back in this game. How about the elbow?
No, that is the other question. The elbow that's carrying the ball. The elbow that's then carrying the ball. Can I see that just one more time? Some really good looks from our truck as he rolls down there and that elbow touches.
So again, keep in mind, any part of the ball carrier's body except hand or foot, obviously that, Slim Goodbody would tell you that the elbow, that would count.
The amount of time the referee is taking with the clock and looking at the field position of just where he was down would lead you to believe that that elbow touching the ground may dictate the call and reverse the call on the field.
Good point there, Brock, because sometimes when you have these lengthy delays, you say, hey, how come they don't get the call in immediately?
After further review, the runner's elbow was on the ground at the 29-yard line. It'll be 2nd down and 1.
So sometimes it takes them a long time to figure out where they're going to spot the ball, where the clock's going to be, not just that his elbow's down, therefore he's down.
That's right. 2 different looks and replays tonight, and I think the booth is spot on both.
And both go against Arizona. Remember, there was the early play that was ruled an interception at the goal line.
Trevin Wade, correct.
And that was overturned. And the touchdown by Arizona is overturned. So now this is 2nd down and 1 from the 29. Arizona hasn't scored in the second half. Carey gets the handoff on 2nd down to move the sticks. 1st down, Arizona. And we said the last drive was critical for Arizona. They're going to have any shot against Stanford. They've got to put in the end zone on this drive. Foles throwing. Kreiner makes the grab. Adamosi forces him out. And again, Kreiner, the senior from Las Vegas, who had an appendectomy last Monday. So 12 days ago, only came back to practice on Thursday. Arizona thought they might even use him in a limited role tonight, but he has been out there for most of this game. 5 catches, 44 yards for Kreiner. Foles pressured, throws. Carey makes the grab and stretches to bring up 3rd down and short. Chase Thomas gets the hit on Foles.
And Chase Thomas, a very active outside linebacker. And we saw Foles standing in strong earlier, defenders hanging on him. Chase Thomas says, not so fast this time. I'm going to bring the wallop at 6'4", 240.
Did he say my friend?
Probably not.
I don't know.
Shaw asking if that ball hit the ground, an awfully low throw that the freshman dug out.
Stanford is challenging the ruling on the field that the pass was complete.
There you have it.
Does that seem like much? Well, it does. You know why? Because if this is incomplete, you're looking at 3rd and 10, where Stanford's had a lot of success defensively. Excuse me, you've been looking 2nd and 10. But every one of these yards is important. You said this is a critical drive. This is desperation time for Arizona.
Well, they take a look at this ruled catch by Carey. What do you think?
Well, we're 2 for 2 tonight. Does he get his hands under that ball, controlling the ball, while the tip of that ball does clearly hit the ground? I don't think that, once again, can you go to your rule book about indisputable?
Yeah, sure.
You say that very well every time, and I enjoy how you dig under the table and you pull out your binder.
Here we go. To reverse an on-field ruling, the replay
After
official...
review, the ruling on the field stands.
Too slow.
With a catch. Stanford is charged with a timeout, and they have no further challenges during the game.
Replay official must be convinced beyond all doubt by indisputable video evidence through one or more video replays provided to the monitor.
Well done.
That's the rule. 3rd and short. Carey spinning away from the tacklers, and Kadeem Carey crosses into Stanford territory and has a first down for Arizona. The true freshman from right here in Tucson, Canyon del Oro High School, had nearly 1,800 rushing yards in his high school career.
And you're going to see more of Carey as this season evolves, as he learns the protections and he gains more trust of the staff and everything else besides running, because I think you see the talent there running through tackles, and with this offensive line, you're going to need that from the running back position.
11-yard pickup, longest of the year for Carey. Foles dumps it over the middle to David Roberts, who's met immediately. Devin Carrington for Stanford. Desperation drive, you call it here for Arizona?
It is, and you have to have the sense of urgency, and they play fast anyway, which is a benefit in these situations. But that tempo has got to be tempo has got to be upped every one of these snaps and possessions from here on out.
An Arizona team who has lost 6 of its last 7. Draw to Carey, slipping away from defenders. First down for Carey in Arizona. And you're seeing the true freshman start to lead the way in the Wildcats ground game.
As I said, you're going to need him this season to avoid those tackles. And Antolin is a straight-ahead runner and the 2-time leading rusher and a very tough senior. But this young freshman's got the burst and that explosiveness they need out of the backfield.
First down from just outside the 30. Foles looking to the end zone on first down. Incomplete. Intended for Kreiner. Batamosi there in coverage. Johnson Batamosi, the senior, knocks it away.
I really like the arm strength of Nick Foles. A very simple twist by Stanford. Nothing exotic. Not passed off very well up front. Foles takes a shot, and he just flicks it with a really good touch. It's what you got to do for your receivers. I'm giving you a chance to go up and make a play. Kreiner typically makes that play. And unfortunately for Foles, he can't come down with it there.
Ninth play of the drive for Arizona. Foles to the air again on second down and incomplete. That's 3rd down and 10. Are we in 4-down territory for Arizona?
Yeah, I think you are. Have you seen the field goal kicker tonight?
Yes. Yes, and I think the Arizona fans, coaches, and everybody
this
may have seen enough.
This game was 16-10. I think it's important to point out. You miss a field goal before half. You miss a field goal coming out. You could have very well been 16-16. So I don't think you trust your field goal kicker at any point from here on out.
Maybe the season. Foles pressured on 3rd and 10. Nick Foles is sacked back at the 40. Max Bergen sacks Foles on a critical 3rd and 10.
These guys keep coming, don't they? There's one thing about Stanford defensively, and they're without Shane Scove, and they're going to miss him. And let's hope for his sake and the program's sake that that's not a season-ending injury, but it was ugly getting carted off the field. And they're going to need the Bergens and the Lancasters and the Tarpleys all to step up. And in his absence, they continue to play very hard defensively.
Punting unit comes out here. Dugancic will hit this right around the 50, so he has to hit it just right. Trying to pin Stanford back. Terrell, fair catch inside the 10. 11-22. Andrew Luck and Stanford get the football, trying to close it out in Tucson. Let's take a look at today's Good Hands plays, brought to you by Allstate.
No surprise, the tight ends got involved for Stanford early and often. Both touchdown passes, the first to Ertz. Ertz thought he was going to get a second, but Toilolo steals it. About 7 of 9 touchdowns for the Cardinal this season. Passing touchdowns have gone to those big difference-making tight ends.
And sometimes tight ends now, they say, well, they're inside receivers. And Pep Hamilton, offensive coordinator for Stanford, said, no, it's not inside receivers. We're not spread. They're tight end. Their job is to block, but they can also catch. Big weapon in the pass game for Stanford. Taylor takes it on first down, and it's a really excellent group. I mean, Fleener left this game early with a concussion concern. So Ertz and Ryan Hewitt, who plays fullback, tight end, Levine Toilolo. And they have a good one coming, does Stanford, and Brandon Gottfried from Orange Beach, Alabama, Gulf Shores High School. Redshirted last year for the Stanford Cardinal. He's going to be another good tight end for the Stanford team. Taylor picks up a first down and more. Taylor with a stiff arm to get across the 35 to the 38. Marquise Flowers finally drags him down. 23-yard pickup for Taylor.
Just breaks your will when you know what's coming. When they line up and everyone's around the line of scrimmage and we're going to run it right at you, much like Stanford did a year ago. Taylor had 4 touchdown runs against Arizona. They pounded that rock. They established the line of scrimmage. This is old school. Watch the picture. You tell me how many receivers you see on the field. None.
Give it to Taylor again. Already has his career high. Taylor's going to go over 150 rushing yards in the game. Last time, 2010, when these teams got together, Taylor tied a school record with 4 touchdowns running against this Arizona defense. Tonight, 153 rushing yards for Stephon Taylor, the junior from Mansfield, Texas.
Tell you who else has done a nice job. DeCastro, we have highlighted a number of times. David Shaw said, watch my left guard too. Dave Yankee, he's a redshirt freshman, actually converted tackle, 6'5", 300 pounds. And though many of those runs have gone with DeCastro Poling, they've also done a nice job with Taylor's 153 yards of the young freshman Yankee as well.
So when you have the power run game, now you're in the fourth quarter, 20-point lead. There's a flag on the play.
Delay of game. Offense number 12. 5-yard penalty. Main second down.
He's not perfect.
Well, this should play to your strength if I think I know where you're going with it. They talk about 4-minute offenses at the end of the games, getting that first down to end it. Stanford wants to make this a 9-minute drill, and when you can just simply line up and blow people off the ball, it speaks to your conditioning level. And then, watch this, we'll line up and spread. We'll explode everybody back into that backfield and run it right at you.
One deep safety for Arizona on 2nd and 8. So one-on-one matchup. Luck misses on the outside, intended for Terrell. NFL 32, a highly interactive program, gives everyone a voice. Weekdays, 6 Eastern. Join host Susie Colbert, senior insider Chris Mortensen, a rotating cast of NFL analysts. Weekdays, 6 Eastern on ESPN2. You can be a part of the conversation. Carter Blackburn with Brock Heward, former NFL quarterback, all Pac-10 quarterback at the University of Washington. Shelley Smith on the sideline. Andrew Luck didn't start spectacular. And really what's amazing about Andrew Luck is it's oftentimes not spectacular. There's big numbers out there for a lot of other guys. And yet, 3rd down and 8, executing perfect, completing to Hewitt. 1st down, Stanford, move the chains. And the Cardinal are on the verge of their 11th straight win, the longest in the nation.
And he's got a lot of help around him. Highlighted the run game. How about the other back? Tyler Gaffney coming in here. Oh, you're a defense tackle, Tui Alamaka? 3 technique? That's fine. I'll saw you off with the thigh pad as well and give Andrew Luck the time to throw the details with which all of these guys play with on the offensive side of the ball and defensively. Really impressive.
There's Gaffney on 1st down, fighting through the first defenders. And it really is stunning, Brock, to say Stanford, with all of the academic reputation and with really, in recent years, bad football teams. I mean, this was a football team that's 1-11 when Jim Harbaugh took over. Now David Shaw, the head coach. But to say we're not only going to be a successful football team, we're going to do it with physical football. Both sides of the football. We're Stanford, and we're going to be more physical than you are. That's pretty amazing.
That's well said.
Thanks. Taylor on Gaffney on 2nd and 6, bringing up 3rd and short. But at the same time, you also have the ability to process huge playbook on both sides.
Yep, blending the finesse of the West Coast system with really the Bo Schembechler philosophy. Love the story that Jim Harbaugh told us a year ago. David Shaw learned a lot from Jim about toughness and fight and competitiveness. Schembechler called Harbaugh, said, "You have a tight end?" "Yep." "Fullback?" "Yep." "Fullback hand in the ground?" "Yes, sir." "Well, then you're all set."
And there's Hewitt, the fullback, with his hand in the ground on 3rd and 3 for the Cardinal. Play fake. Hewitt out of the backfield, makes the grab, 1st down and more, down the sideline, inside the 20, shoved out. So Stanford goes run, play action on 3rd and 3, hit Hewitt to move the chains again.
Remember the conversation we had with our esteemed colleague Craig James last week in Oklahoma for the Oklahoma State game, and he said, if you were to run an offense, what would you want to do? And I know the spread is in vogue and it's great to throw for all these yards, but maybe I'm a traditionalist and old school. Give me some fullbacks and tight ends, and if I can recruit those guys like Stanford's able to do with the academic level of that institution, I can bring top-notch tight ends and fullbacks in to demoralize an opponent like this. It's an awful lot of fun offensively. By demoralizing, what I mean is you're just lining up and it's nothing exotic. We're better than you, we're stronger than you, we're more physical than you, and we're going to grind it and wear you down over 4 quarters. It's what Stanford did a year ago on their magical run to a school record 12 wins, and it will be their philosophy this season. You will not see them change course, and frankly, with their receiver situation, you play to your strengths, and their strengths are running backs and tight ends, and a pretty good quarterback too.
10th play of the drive that started at the 9, Stanford's own 9. Luck giving to Stewart, bringing up 3rd down. By the way, in that film room, and they're in Stillwater, Craig James and Ray Bentley, and a really open discussion about offenses in football. I was kind of hurt you guys didn't come to me with kind of if I was head coach.
Well, Craig, no surprise, would also like the running backs in the run game. Mm-hmm. What exactly would you like to do, Carter?
Well, I'd have a physical football team able to throw the football around the yard a little bit. What do you think, Brock? A little mix of physical football and a West Coast offense. How's that sound? I'll take Andrew Luck as my quarterback, too. Can I have that?
Yep.
All right. Luck on 3rd and 6. Handing off. This is Stewart, the 5th-year senior. They call patch. Stopped just short. So here's 4th down. DeCastro says, come on, let's go for it. They won it. DeCastro wants
Look at the offensive
Shaw to
line.
Go for it on 4th and 1.
Look at the offensive line. Look at DeCastro in particular. He sets the tone. Look at that helmet tonight. Look at the blue on that helmet. Isn't that a great shot right there? He's not taking tools to that helmet, by the way, in his mechanical engineering classes. None of those guys are. That's just hand-to-hand combat, mano-a-mano. And we're going to hit you right in the mouth.
4th and 1, going for it. Not 4th and goal, but 4th and 1. Stewart picks up the 1st down. No touchdown signal yet. There it is. Touchdown, Stanford. Stewart into the end zone. What a drive. 91-yard drive by Stanford to wrap up the road test in Arizona. 6 minutes, 55 seconds, 12 plays, 91 yards, ending with the 2-yard touchdown run from Jeremy Stewart.
Nearly 600 yards of offense tonight, incredibly balanced. Luck over 300 yards, rushed for 245 as well. That's the kind of balance with which the Cardinal can play.
Stanford 37-10, a number 6 next to the Cardinal name. Is this a championship football team? We'll discuss.
ESPN's College Football Primetime is presented by Hampton Hotels. At Hampton, we love having you here. And in part by Corona Extra, who invites you to find your beach.
That's the Sonoran dog, and the folks from El Güero Canelo here in Tucson. We would be dos güeros con microfonos, you and I, Brock. A Sonoran dog, how about this? Bacon, beans, onions, tomatoes, mayo, mustard, jalapeno sauce. We'll talk about football instead of hot dogs when we come back. Monday Night Football. Rams Sam Bradford against Eli Manning and the Giants. Brock Hewitt has already called it a must-win for the Rams and the Giants, trying to avoid 0-2. Hakeem Nicks, game time decision with a knee injury. Will he play? St. Louis has lost 4 straight to the Giants, been since 2001. 8:30 Eastern Time, ESPN's Monday Night Football. Mike, Jaws, John Gruden, and the game. And Jenkins now in at running back. There's a flag on the play. 37-10, Stanford on Arizona.
Illegal snap on the center. 5-yard penalty. Mains first down.
I'll get back to Stanford here in a moment, but Arizona is in a very frustrating place right now. This is a downturn in the program. This is be 7 of 8 losses. Only win in that stretch is over Northern Arizona. Nick Foles says this is a big game. They wanted to turn around momentum in the program, wanted to turn around things for the football team. Where does Arizona go from here?
Well, the Oregon Ducks come into this place next week, and then you go to USC. There is some real problems here in some areas that this team must improve. And you saw tonight how critical special teams can be. Cost them games last year, in particular the Arizona State game, where if they can just make a PAT, they win that game. 2 missed field goals played huge roles tonight. Going into halftime, you miss a field goal, you come out of halftime. This game could have been 16-16 with the crowd and everybody behind it. And unfortunately, you missed those field goals. It was deflating for Nick Foles in that offense. And then you saw the difference between a championship team, which Stanford is, and Arizona, a team still trying to find an identity in their run game, trying to find an identity defensively.
Bryson Burney in at quarterback now, the senior from Honolulu, is coming back from a knee injury. Note on the Arizona quarterbacks are trying to redshirt Matt Scott, who's a senior this year, so that when Foles graduates, moves on, eligibility expires, Matt Scott will be eligible to quarterback this team next season. That's the goal. They also have a true freshman redshirting this year, Dax Garner. So this is Burney. And Arizona started the year 7-1 in 2010, then lost its last 5, including to Oklahoma State in the Alamo Bowl. Beat Northern Arizona, but lost to Oklahoma State, lost to Stanford, and still, as you said, Brock, Oregon at USC, at Oregon State. So this is a very tough stretch for the Arizona Wildcats, a program that, worth noting, when Mike Stoops took this program over, they were 2-10 the year prior to his arrival. They have had 3 straight winning seasons, 3 straight bowl games. That equals the school record. So this is a program that has been put on a winning path by Mike Stoops and his staff. But right now, they're going to lose 7 of 8 after this loss to Stanford.
Well, and these are good teams they're losing to as well. I mean, you don't want to make excuses, and Mike Stoops and his staff do not, but you look at those opponents in those 7 losses. It's an Oregon team that played for a title, Stanford team that was right on the cusp of playing for a title a season ago. It's Oklahoma State twice that I think has championship aspirations. So there's not real bad losses mixed in there. And as I said, if you can just simply execute a PAT last year against Arizona State, no one's talking about 7 losses, but they couldn't. And that's why the conversation and the fan base, and it's anytime you lose 7 consecutive FBS games, temperature gets hot.
That's going to be the discussion, no doubt about it. Well, speaking of championship aspirations, you mentioned Oklahoma State, the team who beat Arizona in the Alamo Bowl in San Antonio last season, beat them in Stillwater last week on a Thursday night game. Stanford has a number 6 next to its name. Orange Bowl, victory over Virginia Tech. School record for wins a year ago, and yet, as we talk to the Stanford players and the Stanford coaches, national championship, that was the goal. That's why Andrew Luck came back. That's what the Stanford group that committed to rebuilding this program. It wasn't to get to number 6. It wasn't to get to the Orange Bowl. It was to win a national championship. So, question then, Brock, is Stanford a championship caliber team, and does that schedule lend itself to Stanford being in the mix, right there in the mix for a national championship?
Yes and yes. Whenever you have number 12 on your team who's 23-5 as a starter, you absolutely have aspirations. And secondly, unlike Arizona, that schedule is incredibly favorable. 6 of the last 9 are going to be on the farm. You really spread out Oregon and USC. So it's a schedule that David Shaw has to like. Now, this will be the question, is the injury situations for Stanford. And Andrew Luck knows they lost a big part of their defense tonight. In fact, we'll get back to Shane Scove when we come back.
Well, that is an unwelcome sight for Stanford football, for anybody who likes football, because Shane Scove's a great football player, exceptional young man. Shane Scove went down early in this game with a worrisome knee injury. We haven't received an update on Shane Scove's status, but continuing that discussion, Brock, about national championship aspirations for Stanford Cardinal football, that impacts those aspirations.
He was such a big part of what they did last year.
And that's a turnover on downs by Arizona. Stanford football. Minute 54 to go. We are less than 8 hours away from Sunday NFL Countdown, 10 a.m. Eastern on ESPN. 3 hours now. So why not just get a Mountain Dew, a Red Bull, just stay up and get you ready for Sunday. Then on Sunday morning on ESPN2, full lineup of shows including Bob Lee, Outside the Lines at 10 a.m., followed by the Sports Reporters, Sports Center at 11, and Fantasy Football now, 11:30 a.m. Eastern Time. I mean, we're just rolling right into Sunday. We thought we were going to be the last game of the day, but thanks to the delay in Oklahoma State, Tulsa, there's still college football being played in the middle part of the country. This is going to be Stanford 37-10 over Arizona, extending what's now the nation's longest winning streak. Auburn losing earlier today, stabbing the winning streak at 17. So 11 straight now for Andrew Luck and the Cardinals.
And you have UCLA at home, who got throttled by Texas today. Speaking of the temperature getting hot within the Pac-12 there for Rick Neuheisel. You have Colorado at home. You go to the Cougs. You have a chance to really extend that win streak and more than likely break the school's all-time winning streak, which sits at 13 games, way back, I believe, in the 30s and 40s.
39-41, including the 1940 Rose Bowl win over Nebraska. That was a 13-game winning streak for Stanford.
David Shaw said to us, and I think it's case in point tonight, he said, you know, the thing in the area of growth that I really like about our football team is that last year set the foundation, but no one is celebrating. None of these guys, the maturity of Andrew Luck and DeCastro and Shane Scove and the leadership they have, Michael Thomas as well defensively, no one threw a party. They weren't satisfied. To your point earlier about their aspirations are not just to get 10 wins and 12, it's to win a national championship. That's why this guy came back to school, Andrew Luck, to play and finish this thing out. And he loves the maturity of this club, and I think you saw it reflected tonight. Injuries galore. Not pretty. Not great execution. 2 of 7 third downs at one point. 0 for 3 in the red zone scoring touchdowns. But David Shaw's team never wavered, and that kind of poise and perseverance can go a long ways this season when you're talking a national title at Stanford.
6th-ranked Stanford passes the road test. Andrew Luck, 325 yards, 2 touchdowns, 11 straight now for the Cardinal, the nation's longest winning streak. 37-10 over Arizona. For Brock Heward, Shelley Smith, and our entire hardworking ESPN crew, I'm Carter Blackburn. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. 37-10. Stanford over Arizona. 6th-ranked Stanford marches on, and we march on. SportsCenter right now.